I'd like to call the meeting to order. Will the members of the council as well as the public please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation this evening will be offered by Councilmember Jeremy Elrod.
May we bow our heads. Lord, we humbly thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate you for all of your gifts, those that we know and those that we see and those that we don't know and those that we can't perceive. We appreciate and honor with the responsibility we have to represent our neighbors as we lead our city and make decisions tonight and every day. As we deliberate, may we always work, deliberate, discuss with respect for each other and listen to each other. And know that we all may argue over the how, the what, the when, and the who, but may we all agree on the why, that we want to make our neighborhoods, our community, and our city a better place. May we be driven by passion and reason, emotion and logic, but in the end, we ask for wisdom and compassion as we make decisions, and in the end, ask for justice and a better city for all of us. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Without objection, we'll suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of those members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for the adoption of the minutes of the meeting of October 2nd, 2018? Without objection, the minutes of the meeting will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, are there any messages from the mayor?
From the mayor.
Thank you very much. We now have two presentations from, first we'll begin with Councilmember Mary Carolyn Roberts.
Together. It's just been really lovely. So I'd like to begin resolution number RS 2018-1431. This is a resolution recognizing the legacy of prominent Nashville artist William Edmondson as part of National Arts and Humanities Month. Whereas October is National Arts and Humanities Month, launched by Americans for the Arts more than 30 years ago, with the goals to bring focus to the arts at local, state, and national levels, encouraging individuals and organizations to participate in the arts, providing opportunities for governments and businesses to show their support of the arts, and raising public awareness about the role arts and humanities play in our communities and lives and.
Whereas National Arts and Humanities Month presents an opportunity to recognize the legacy of prominent Nashville artist William Edmondson, and whereas William Edmondson was born in and created his artwork in Davidson County, Tennessee, and
Whereas Edmondson grew up in what was once a rural part of the county on the Compton's plantation, where his parents had been enslaved and later worked as sharecroppers. And whereas Edmondson had little or no formal education in working at the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis railroad shops, in the Nashville Women's Hospital, he ultimately earned enough to purchase a modest home in the Edge Hill neighborhood of Nashville. And whereas Edmondson began his sculpting career by creating tombstones for Nashville's African-American community from chunks of discarded limestone, and then in 1934, around the age of 60, transitions to figure sculpture. And
whereas Edmondson's work caught the attention of many in the Nashville community, and later the director of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. Whereas in 1937, William Edmondson was the first African-American artist to be given a one-person exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art. And he later went on to showcase his artwork in Paris, France, as part of the 3 Centuries of Art in the United States exhibition at the Jeu de Paume. And
whereas, after Edmondson's death in 1951, his sculptures came to be appreciated by art critics and collectors around the world, garnering $70,000 to $300,000 at auction. And whereas locally, Edmondson's work has been exhibited at Fisk University, the Tennessee State Museum, and Cheekwood Museum of Art, and
whereas in 2014, the Nashville Metropolitan Government opened Edmondson Park, the city's first urban arts park named in honor of Edmondson, and whereas William Edmondson is hailed as one of the outstanding folk artists of the 20th century, and
whereas it is fitting proper that the Metropolitan Council raise awareness about National Arts and Humanities Month and highlight the artistic contributions of William Edmondson as part of the month-long celebration of the arts. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Council of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County that the Metropolitan Council hereby goes on record as recognizing October as National Arts and Humanities Month and honors the legacy of Nashville artist William Edmondson. This resolution shall take effect from and after its adoption in the welfare of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County requiring it.
So we're so lucky that Mary Copeland, his great-great-niece, is here tonight, and she is going to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'm so grateful, and I'm sure my uncle would be. If he were here, he'd probably just smile and just make a little noise. But it's been so long, and it's a good thing that it's here now. And the only thing that I regret that it wasn't in history books, but it is in the State Museum, so you all will be able to go and see it. And on behalf of all these people who have worked so hard and so diligently to bring it to the forefront, I want to thank them also. Thank you.
Kathleen, will you take a picture, please? Ms. Copeland? I'm going to take a picture first. All right. I'm kind of tall, so I'll try to get
No, you can't get it.
I got David. Can you do the splits? Please do. Who can you not see?
Yeah. Now all my friends come down. And tell Michael Jameson he knows.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you. And next, we have a presentation by Councilmember Brenda Haywood.
Great. Everyone that would like to be a part of this resolution that will be recognizing Karen Johnson for this noteworthy occasion, please come up. We would just love to have you join us. We would love to have you to be a part of this. Don't be bashful. We're inviting you up if you would like to be a part of this. Karen? Oh, there you are. Okay, okay. Yes, you're going to. Yeah, we'd love to have anyone that would like to be a part of it. We even have her husband Poo Poo up. I mean, I'm sorry. At this time, we have resolution number RS 2018-14 and 12. Mr. Dan Lane, would you come up, please? Mr. Dan Lane. Here he is. Mr. Dan Lane. Okay, that's her stepfather. A resolution recognizing the historic election of Karen Johnson as Davidson County Register of Deeds, whereas on August the 2nd, 2018, Karen Johnson was elected Davidson County Register of Deeds after advancing from the primary on May 1st, 2018, and whereas Karen Johnson has made history as the first African American and first woman to serve as Davidson County Register of Deeds, and whereas Ms. Johnson moved with her family to Nashville in 1985, and
Whereas she attended Tennessee State University, obtaining a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's of business administration and organizational management from Trevecca Nazarene University. And whereas Ms. Johnson has served in many roles in both the private sector, including as a human resources professional and
Whereas Ms. Johnson has also held many public offices, including as a member of the Metropolitan Nashville Board of Public Education, a commissioner on the Metro Nashville Board of Zoning Appeals, a member of the Metro Nashville Board of Parks and Recreation, and whereas from 2011 until taking office of Register of Deeds, Ms. Johnson served as Metropolitan Council member for District 29, and
whereas a council member, she served on several committees, was elected as president pro tem for 1 year between 2015 and 2016, served on the Tennessee Municipal League of Board of Directors, and was elected to the National League of Cities Board of Directors in 2017. And whereas Ms. Johnson has also served Nashville through her involvement with several nonprofits and community organizations, and
whereas it is fitting and proper that the Metropolitan Council congratulate Karen Johnson upon her historic election and recognize her years of service to the citizens of Nashville and Davidson County. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Section 1. Section 1. Section 1, the Metropolitan Council hereby goes on record as recognizing and congratulating Karen Johnson upon her election as Register of Deeds. Section 2, the Metropolitan Council is directed to prepare a copy of this resolution to be presented to Karen Johnson. And Section 3, this resolution shall take effect from and after its adoption, the welfare of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County requiring it. Yeah.
wow. And at this time, we will have a few remarks from Register of Deeds, Karen Johnson.
Woo-hoo. I will be brief because I know you all do not want to hear me talk a long time because you don't know how I am with the mic. But I am deeply, deeply honored to be recognized and given this by my colleagues. I still call everybody my colleagues. Is emotional for me. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for embracing me. Thank you for making me the great person I am in terms of public service. I could not be here without each of you. And just seeing all your signatures on this resolution means the world to me. I can't wait to hang it in my new office. But I love you all. Thank you so much for the selfless service you give to the citizens of our city. And please continue to keep in touch with me because I'm here to serve you as well as those who are here in the office. I did want to acknowledge there are a lot of people here from the Register of Deeds office that wanted to come down. Wow. So y'all raise your hands, everybody. They work very, very hard. They work very, very hard for you. Thank you, Council Lady Brenda Haywood. I thank you for galvanizing all of our colleagues together and making this happen for me. I love you all. Thank you.
Are you gonna have it framed? Yeah, okay.
And now we'll move to elections and confirmations. I'll move to recognize Chairman Antoinette Lee to give the report. We'll begin with the Blue Ribbon Commission.
Thank you. The Blue Ribbon Commission appointee David Getz was approved, 5-0.
You've heard the motion for confirmation of Mr. Dave Getz to the Blue Ribbon Commission. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion passes.
The Board of Fire and Building Code Appeals appointment of Mr. Christopher Banbridge was approved, 5-0.
You've heard the motion for the confirmation of Mr. Christopher Bainbridge to the Board of Fire and Building Code Appeals. All in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Next, Hospital Authority.
The appointment of Dr. Bonnie Sovis was approved, 5-4, 0 against.
You've heard the motion for confirmation of Dr. Bonnie Slovis to the Hospital Authority. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion passes. Next is Transportation Licensing Committee, a reappointment of Ms. Mona Lisa Warren for the term expiring October 10th, 2020.
Was approved, 5-4, 0 against.
Thank you. You've heard the motion for confirmation of Ms. Mona Lisa Warren to the Transportation Licensing Commission. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We will move, at the request of the Vice Mayor, to the HEAL, the Tax Increment Finance and Study and Formulating Committee. So I would like to recognize those that we have duly elected. Would the following people please stand? Mr. Dave Getz, Mr. Christopher Bainbridge, Dr. Bonnie Slovis, and Ms. Mona Lisa Warren. On behalf of the entire Metro Council, we thank you for your willingness to serve and to volunteer your time and expertise. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now we are moving to our public comment period. This time is dedicated to allow members of the public who have registered in advance to speak upon matters related to the Metro, Nashville, and Davidson County community. You have 2 minutes each, and we ask you to state your name and address. We have 3 speakers scheduled. We'll begin with Mr. Jonathan Sewell from District 17, 477 Chestnut Street, and he will be speaking on prostitution in Nashville. Mr. Sewell, you're recognized.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the self-judging jury, prostitution, a commercial enterprise with a powerful history in this town where we sell ourselves by the note, by the hour, and almost by rote in the search for power. All that action at the individual level barely matches a collective self-selling at the municipal level, where we place ourselves, people, park, and parcel before potential suitors, shallow in sentiment but deep in pockets, typically ours. Let not those who practice the profession in an unnecessarily more permanent manner pronounce fault on those who practice it temporarily and often necessarily, but rather let's welcome them into the club, because for most of us assembled here today, it's not a discussion of what are we, but what's the price. An easy first step on the walk down this street of social inclusion is decriminalization of sex work. It does not mean the removal of laws that criminalize exploitation, human trafficking, or violence against sex workers, but rather the removal of laws and policies criminalizing or penalizing that work. This approach empowers our neighbors by removing the fear of criminal reprisal. An inclusive society embraces the margins, helping the neighbors who need it most. We can restore dignity without imposing mores and ease access to health and social safety initiatives, the ability to report crimes, and organizing for increased safety simply by affording sex workers equal rights. Much as the focus of decriminalization is the normalization of access to basic rights for the sex worker, the debate should move from questions of who are we to judge others to more appropriately and intimately personal perspective, who is one to be judged, especially by a legal scheme based on shame and stigma. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Melissa Clark from District 25. Residence is 4109 Kimbark Avenue. She is going to be speaking on traffic. Ms. Clark?
Thank you, council members and staff, for allowing me to speak today. My name is Melissa Clark. I'm on 4109 Kilbar Drive, and I would like to talk about traffic. As we all know, traffic out on the road is very bad in Nashville. The congestion is greater than normal. People are moving in from other cities, and we want to learn how to approach reducing traffic congestion. Traffic affects medical, fire, and police emergencies. When there's an emergency, people forget to move to the right when there's a fire emergency or medical emergency. Traffic affects people getting to and from work. Highways such as I-24 and I-40 are very congested. People from Mount Juliet, Hermitage, and Old Hickory have problems getting to and from work every day, and this creates a problem with them delivering basic customer service and, professional employment to their customers. Traffic affects number of accidents on roads. As you may know, this morning we heard a news story about a mom and 4 kids dying on a highway in Franklin. Traffic affects number of deaths on road. As you may know, in 2016 we had 1,009 traffic fatalities and over 30,000 deaths in Nashville by itself. So one way that we can reduce congestion on roads is to look at cities such as Madison, Hermitage, Mount Juliet, and Old Hickory, and come to the conclusion to build roads, freeways, or highways to reduce the number of cars out on Highway 24.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Yeah.
Your time is up. Thank you very much. Next, we have Teresa Wagner from District 28, 1105 Ransom Way, speaking about funding public schools.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Wagner, and I live at 1105 Ransom Way. I teach at Apollo Middle School and serve as M&EA Vice President. On June 5th, I came before you asking you to do the right thing by MNPS teachers, but you didn't. Here we are 4 months later, and teachers are the only public employees who have suffered harm from your decision to not correct the property tax rate. Other public employees still receive step increases, even if they did not receive actual raises. Teachers not only had their steps frozen, they also are dealing with a net loss of income because of rising insurance premiums. Even as I speak, teachers are working second jobs instead of taking advantage of time with their families and for themselves. Is it unreasonable to ask for salaries that afford teachers the opportunity to live and be connected to the city where they work? But salary is only one of the issues we have dealt with as the 2018-19 school year opened. Because this body can't seem to manage to fully fund our schools, we're dealing with resource issues such as no textbooks, insufficient technology to handle their digital replacements, the rationing of basic supplies, and increased transportation costs, which impacts field trips and after-school activities. Teachers continue to subsidize their classrooms even on reduced paychecks because of your failure to fund our school system. and people wonder why we add schools to the state priority list. One of the consequences of being an IT city is that state funding through the BEP formula is cut because it's based on a district's capacity to generate tax revenue. It's never too early for this council to begin thinking about using that capacity for our students and their futures. It's never too early to start looking at realistic ways to fully fund our public schools through ongoing sustainable revenue rather than suggesting the one-time sales of MMPS assets that would only have to be replaced. It's time to start putting the children before the interest of billionaire investors. When you take care of our children and invest in a world-class education system, you're guaranteeing the future of our wonderful city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move to resolutions on consent agenda. The following resolutions are on the consent agenda. RS 2018-1434, RS 2018-1435, RS 2018-1436, 1437, 1438, 1439, 1440, 1441, 1442, 1443, 1444, 1445, 1448, 1449, 1450, 1451, 1453, 1456, and 1457. Are there any of those that need to be pulled from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I will read through the captions. RS 2018-1434 sponsors Vertran Freeman approves a grant from the Tennessee Highland Rim Healthcare Coalition to the Nashville Fire Department to install and outfit the ambubus with a bus conversion kit to convert the bus into a large ambulance capable of treating and transporting multiple patients. RS 2018-1436, Mr. Jameson, I have to check on something. 1435 says it was on the consent agenda, but it has a late filed amendment. So I should pull that from consent, is that correct? It does not. I'm going to scratch that. Okay. RS 2018-1435 sponsors Vertran Freeman, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the United States Department Marshal Service and the Metro Police Department to investigate and apprehend local, state, and federal fugitives. RS 2018-1436 sponsors Vertran Freeman, approves an intergovernmental relationship between the Metro Police Department and the Cookeville Police Department for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. RS 2018-1437 sponsors Vertran Freeman, approves an intergovernmental agreement between Metro Police Department and the Dickson County Sheriff's Office for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. RS 2018-1438 sponsors Vertran Freeman, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Police Department and the Spring Hill Police Department for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. RS 2018-1439 sponsors Vertran Freeman, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Police Department and the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with investigations of internet crimes against children. RS 2018-1440 sponsors Vertran Freeman, approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Police Department and the Wilson County Sheriff's Office for the distribution of state grant funds to assist with an investigation of internet crimes against children. RS 2018-1441 sponsors Vercher, Bedney, and others, approves a grant from the Tennessee Historical Commission to the Metro Historical Commission to hire a professional consultant to prepare, create, and distribute a pattern book of potential outbuilding designs to apply to garages and detached accessory dwelling units within local historic districts. RS 2018-1442 sponsors Vercher and Withers, approves an amendment to a grant from the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development and the Nashville Career Advancement Center to establish and carry out infrastructure funding agreement services to benefit service recipients. RS 2018-1443 sponsors O'Connell and Bedney, authorizes Downtown Nashville Wine and Spirits to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 178 2nd Avenue North. RS 2018-1444 sponsors Vercher and O'Connell, approves a Tire Environmental Act program grant from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation to Metro Water and Sewage Services Department to replace 130 broken and missing tree grates with flexible porous paving. RS 2018-1445 sponsors Vercher, Bedney, and others, authorizes the acquisition and removal of 44 flood-prone properties in the Mill Creek, Sorghum Branch, and Whittemore Branch watersheds. RS 2018-1448, sponsors Vercher and Gilmore, approves an agreement between Metro Government and Calsonic Kansai North America Incorporated for operation of a foreign trade zone site and for approval of amendments and future foreign trade zone agreements by resolution. RS 2018-1449, sponsors Vercher, authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Sabrina Holt against Metro Government in the amount of $12,000. RS 2018-1450, sponsor Vercher, authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Shania Taylor against Metro in the amount of $11,000. Resolution RS 2018-1451, sponsor Vercher, authorizes the Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Shawanda Taylor against Metro in the amount of $14,775. RS 2018-1453, sponsor Vercher, reduces the authority of the Metropolitan Government to issue general obligation bonds pursuant to certain initial resolutions previously adopted by the Metro Council. RS 2018-1456, sponsors Lee and Haywood, elects 2 members of the Board of Directors of the Health and Educational Facilities Board of the Metropolitan Government. RS 2018-1457 recognizes sponsors Roberts Withers and others, recognizes the contributions of Nashville-born artist Red Grooms as part of October Nashville. So those are the resolutions on consent agenda. We will need committee reports. I'll begin with Councilmember Vercher. Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Budget and Finance recommended approval for RS 2018-1434, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42. 12-4-0 against for RS 2018-1444 and 1445. Budget and Finance recommended approval 12-4-0 against for RS 2018-1448, 49, 50, and 51. Budget and Finance recommended approval 12-4-0 against, and for RS 2018-1453, Budget and Finance recommended approval 12-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Brett Withers.
Thank you. The Personnel, Public Information, Human Relations, and Housing Committee met this afternoon. We considered Resolution 2018-1442. Our committee recommended approval 3 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Planning Zoning, Councilmember Murphy.
The Planning, Zoning, and Historical Committee voted, on Resolution 2018-1441, 9 in favor, 0 against. Resolution 2018-1443, 9 in favor, 0 against. Resolution 2018-1445, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman, Public Safety.
Thank you. Public Safety, Beer, Regulated Beverages, looked at 1434, 4 in favor, 0 against. Resolutions 1435, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40 were all 6-4-0 against.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Council Lady Allen. Public Works Committee for Resolution 1443, 6 in favor, 0 against. For 1444, 1445, 1446, 8 in favor, 0 against. 1447, 7 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. And some of those may have been off consent, but we'll come back to them.
I apologize.
And Rules, Confirmation, and Public Elections, Councilmember Lee.
The Rules Committee reviewed resolutions 1456 and 1457 and approved them 5-0. And with that, all committee reports are in. And I would like to approve the resolutions on the consent agenda.
Thank you. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. Now we go back to bills that were not on the consent agenda. We'll begin with RS 2018-1446, sponsors Vercher, Bedney, and O'Connell, authorizes the Director of Public Works to exercise an option agreement for the purchase of flood-prone property located at 0 Union Street for Metro Water Services. I'll need committee reports. Actually, I will recognize the sponsor, Councilmember Vercher. since Bedney and O'Connell are not here.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 12-4, 0 against, and committee reports.
All right, we need Planning, Zoning, and Historical. Councilmember Murphy. This is 1446.
Resolution 1446 was deferred by rule, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Angie Henderson for Public Works.
Public Works recommended approval, 8 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. So we have a committee deferral. That's an automatic deferral. Do we need to vote? Okay, automatic deferral. Next is Resolution RS 2018-1447, sponsors Vercher, O'Connell, and Sledge. Authorizes the mayor to make an application for a loan from the state of Tennessee to fund the projects listed herein. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 11-4, 1 against, and I need committee reports.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you. Public Works Committee recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Vercher.
I move for approval.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? Resolution passes. Next is Resolution 2018-1452, sponsors Vercher, appropriates $3,070,000 from the General Reserve Fund for the purchase of equipment and building repairs for various departments of the Metropolitan Government. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 10-4, 1 against, and 1 not voting. And with that, I move for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Resolution passes. Next is RS 2018-1454, sponsors Vercher, determines the issuance of general obligation bonds of the Metropolitan Government in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $351,100,000. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 6-4, 5 against. There was discussion as it relates to one meeting deferral that actually failed in committee. Up until today, also, many council members, committee members were still receiving information from various department heads as it relates to the capital spending plan. With that, I move for a one meeting deferral with a re-referral back to Budget and Finance.
It's been moved and seconded. I have mention of proposed amendments. Do we want to take those, or are there any?
Madam Speaker?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Simply deferral. Okay, it's been moved and seconded for a one meeting deferral. Any discussion on the
With
deferral?
a re-referral back to Budget and Finance.
The re-referral back to Budget and Finance. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Excuse me, if there's discussion, can you push your button? Okay, Councilmember Hurt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is it possible to get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am, certainly can. Councilmember Scott Davis.
I'm speaking on the deferral.
Correct.
You know, if my colleagues vote for a deferral, I respect their decisions. However, though, we've been through this before. There's a lot of important projects on here and a lot of good things we need. Infrastructure, money for the hospital, lots of other stuff too. So I'm asking us, you know, and I don't like doing this, but I'm asking everyone to vote against the deferral, and let's vote on this on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Larry Hagar.
I'm in support of this deferral. I told everybody today that I didn't get a lot of this paperwork till about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I was in court most today. So I'm asking the deferral so I can go through this to fine-tooth comb. I get out of court, I don't have time between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock to dig into all this. So I'm a little upset that we get this late in the day like we did. So I'm asking all the council members to support at least a one meeting deferral. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Colby Sledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a couple of items. One, I like Councilmember Davis, I do respect everybody's decision on this. I'll be voting no on the deferral for a couple of reasons. One, which was mentioned, that there are some items in here that have been pretty long awaited, none of which are actually in the district I represent, and that's okay. Actually, I want to see my colleagues receive the funding for the projects that they've been looking for upwards of almost a decade. So I do believe that there's reason to move forward with this tonight. The other thing I will mention is there was a very robust discussion in Budget Committee yesterday, and I'm not on Budget Committee, but I was here for the discussion. And I did want to kind of give kudos to the department heads that who were there yesterday. Once we got the CSP, I did reach out to a couple department heads to ask for more detail in some of the CSP line items. And I will tell you, within 48 hours, I had detailed lists from those department heads, and I really want to thank the work that they were all doing to respond very quickly. I know that we are all very busy, and some of us have very busy day schedules as well, so I don't want to, I believe when everybody says if they have hard time with their schedules getting all the info that they need, but I do want to give a shout out to those department heads who have been working hard on our requests, and I do appreciate their work. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the queue, we're voting on a one-meeting deferral. All those in favor? I'm sorry, we've asked for a machine vote, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Madam Clerk, would you close the machines?
9 in favor, 21 against, 1 abstention.
Deferral fails. Now we are back on the bill. Councilmember Vercher.
I move for approval.
Let's see a second. We have a few members in the queue. Councilmember John Cooper.
Thank you, Speaker. I just wanted to say, I think with the failure of the deferral, which I think was appropriate, even though all this is worthy, we have two jobs here. The happy one is spending. The more difficult one is borrowing and paying for it. And in that degree, the materials presented to support this spending are inadequate at this time. At 5:30 this afternoon, I received corrections to yesterday's tables. And in these corrections, so the projections for how we're going to pay for $1.85 billion worth of bonds, which is our plan going forward. Now, in the last year, we've issued or authorized to issue $1.3 billion of bonds. This is another $1.8 billion worth of bonds. There are some things that we don't know about. One of the things that I just confirmed with our treasurer is first-year interest only, no interest. The bonds here, there's $1 billion worth of bonds we're now projecting to be first-year no interest payments. Well, that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. How is it that we are hearing about it in this group for the first time, not even disclosed to the Budget and Finance Committee yesterday? If you would like, I'd be happy to distribute this page. It is completely inappropriate to conduct city business this way, right? $1 billion worth of bonds, oh, we just happen to have an estimate that we're not going to be paying any interest in the first year. And this is how we're able not to make the debt premiums as large as they're naturally going to be. This is the kind of financial engineering that got the city into the crisis last June. You are pushing it further. I urge for you to, this is a resolution to vote no and then bring it back with appropriate discussion at a future time. There is nothing. You have a $1.8 billion backlog of projects that you've authorized to spend that are not yet built. That's almost 5 years worth of work. So there is nothing in this that is going to suffer for 1 or 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Mendez.
Thank you. I'd like to move to suspend the rules to add an amendment that's the form of which has been approved by bond counsel.
Is there an objection to the suspension of the rules? Seeing none, Councilmember,
All right, I'd like to move the amendment with a brief explanation.
you recognized.
Okay, so one of the things we talked about yesterday was in Budget and Finance was asking for a list of CIB project numbers that corresponded to what was being approved in the capital spending plan. We got that, I think, around 11:30 last night. That's why this is late filed. This amendment was, which is in the package, was prepared by Mr. Jamison in consultation with bond counsel and adds really just a phrase to add an Exhibit B, which includes that list of CIB project numbers that are being approved. I wish this were being deferred, but if it's going to go forward, I think it ought to at least go forward having these identifying CIB project numbers with it. So with that, renew the motion.
Thank you. So there are a number of people in the queue. Do any of you wish to speak on the amendment? If not, is there a second to the amendment? Anyone wishing to speak now that's been seconded? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye. Any opposed? No. Amendment passes. Councilmember Mendez, are you through? Okay. Councilmember Angie Henderson.
Thank you, Madam President. We had, as Councilman Sledge said, a robust discussion in Budget and Finance yesterday, and as you can see, our committee just barely moved approval. I think we have not been saying, colleagues, that, you know, we don't have time to dig into this despite best efforts, but we really are. There are many of us who are vice chairs and chairs of committees that have likewise, along with Mr. Sledge, been asking questions of the administration and various department heads. Myself and Councilman O'Connell, because a very large portion of this budget is in the public works space. I personally feel that there is some fine-tuning to be done. That is why I supported the deferral, and that I would ask then that we spend the time now to ask some, because the deferral has failed, that we spend the time now to ask some additional questions. And so to that end, Mr. Wilshire, you emailed me around 5 today regarding some follow-up questions in our Budget and Finance Committee of yesterday regarding $20 million for the East Bank, Cowan River North further. And so, colleagues, what I'm trying to point out to you, and I hope that you can see, there are a lot of worthy projects in this budget, but there are also some pretty big buckets for which we don't have clarity on how that money is precisely going to be spent. So, particular to this $20 million, before Mr. Wilshire responds, you know, we have $1.5 million in traffic calming. That serves 10 to 15 neighborhoods, colleagues. There are 50 neighborhoods in the queue for traffic calming work. That affects our neighborhoods, our constituents, and so taking one meeting to look into this further and fine-tuning it is not pulling things completely away from projects, pulling out total projects. It's really just looking at the particular needs of our constituency and asking some more detailed questions about these big buckets. So best as I can tell Mr. Wilshire from the questions I've asked thus far, the $20 million in that bucket for that particular project is pretty early. And so could you just kind of summarize your response to me? Because at this juncture, if we're going to just have to amend on the floor, I think it's worth looking at these big kind of designated buckets to where we can strategically put some more money into Public Works to actually serve our constituents out in their neighborhoods. Thank you.
Would you like to respond, Mr. Wiltshire?
I will, and Councilwoman, if I don't respond to your specific inquiry, I'm happy to do that if council rules permitting. You were asking about this project, and I described it in Budget and Finance. I'll provide a quick overview now, and I don't want to take up too much time, but essentially there are two components of this. One is for work along the intersection of Cowan and Jefferson Street today, and there is a component of that is some additional work related to that specific intersection extending down Cowan, right? So the connection and turn lanes, et cetera, to increase the capacity for Cowan.
I think you can keep going.
Okay. Which is important for a variety of reasons, both to improve the traffic flow for folks coming from the northern part of the county in towards downtown and towards this area, and then also to improve the traffic flow around this area specifically. That's that intersection. Extending that and related to it is what we've colloquially referred to as the U, which is a metro road, owned road that will provide connectivity for parcels within the project development, and will have open up economic development potential for that project, which we believe will generate substantial property tax returns to the city.
But nothing is at this point in a final kind of design phase. The intersection that you mentioned is an off-site intersection, and you're designating $10 million to a singular intersection improvement. Could you speak to why it takes $10 million to improve that intersection when most of our intersection improvements come in at $3 million and $5 million?
Yes, and I should defer to the folks at Public Works for the specific answers to the work on the intersection. I'm certainly not a traffic engineer. And I will also refer it to Councilman Scott Davis. This is in his district. It was his request for this, and a number of other members are supporting this.
8 years ago.
And so, so I can't speak to the specific work. I would defer to those parties.
I guess what I would like you to speak to is why in this capital spending plan at this juncture, you need $20 million when this project is in a very, very preliminary stage.
Sure. So the city views the role of the city obviously is to do a variety of things, educate children, provide public safety, and to provide connectivity, which this is doing. In anticipation of development, there are a variety of steps that need to be taken in order to stimulate that development, and the city making its investment to demonstrate, one, the city's commitment to this project, and two, the viability of the development in this area.
Mr. Wiltshire, what is the developer's commitment to this project? I understand it's a 100% Metro commitment, which seems odd to me when, in other developments, we either have 50-50 or, if we do an off-site intersection improvement, say for Nashville Yards, that's only valued at $3 million. And again, it doesn't actually touch their development. So again, why is Metro at this juncture putting $20 million, 100% to do all the infrastructure in a development that is this preliminary, and and then there are other needs going unfunded? So I'm not saying, could you do with 15 million?
Yeah, again, I'm not in a position to speak to the specific engineering requirements of the intersection. I would defer those to others. But
I understand from Public Works it's in a pretty preliminary phase. So.
And Councilman, if you would like to speak, I'll defer to him as well. In answering, let me attempt to answer your question. We believe that this is an appropriate step for a development that will pay huge dividends for the city. You asked what the developers are contributing in this instance. The city will be receiving 24 acres of property that the developers have acquired at no cost that will come back to us, that will provide park space and greenway connectivity, in addition to future investments in metro infrastructure that they will be making. But we'll be receiving 24 acres from them as a part of this overall agreement with them.
Of
land that they have acquired.
Undevelopable green space.
I'm sorry?
Of undevelopable green space.
No, not undevelopable, of green space that will be parks and greenway connectivity. developed for those
Right,
purposes.
will not be on the tax rolls, though.
Right, they will not be on the tax rolls because they will be Metro-owned. What will be on the tax rolls will be all of the development that will occur in this project, which we hope and believe will be substantial.
And did you want to defer to Public Works to speak to why the off-site intersection costs $10,000, or rather $10 million?
Yeah, I don't know if Councilman Davis wants to speak or.
I don't think Councilman Davis will know why an intersection improvement costs $10 million.
Sure, or Public Works, absolutely.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, maybe I'm not the best person on judging what something is worth or amount of engineering, you know. We've just been working on this project for the last 7 years. The intersection that we're speaking of, Jefferson Street Bridge, 64, I-40, several interstate changes. The developer is putting in millions, hundreds of millions, building the 2 bridges and also giving Metro the right-of-way. And the land where the green space is developable land. Actually, the future buildings and residents will be surrounded. Those will actually be closer to the river than the green space, which is being given to Metro. Also, traffic lights, several. In this area of my district, we put in millions and millions of private investment dollars, from the new breweries, from Top Golf to iFly, which none of those large businesses who we employ, just over 1,000 people, not mentioning sound check in all the music venues and all the production studios, because we renamed that district, the area Production Row. So the thousands of employees and the millions of people that go through that intersection every day. I say millions because you got people coming from out of town who live out of county that go use that intersection to go downtown. They use it to go over to Germantown. They use it to work in our downtown hub. So we're just not improving it just for the people that live and work in my district. It affects all of downtown. People use that to get everywhere, that intersection right there. And it's always bottlenecked for years. But we have been working on this for a long time. It's been on the books for a while. And we did a big overlay recently for River North. And we need to push this forward. And people always wonder, you know, when is their time? We've been waiting, and the millions of dollars in infrastructure that the private developers, not just, you know, one big one, there's several that have put in this area and what they've committed to is very important. We had to do an easement for CSX. You know, they're involved because they have a rail line nearby. Got everything straight with them when we were building initially the Top Golf structure. So now we're just moving on ahead. It's been on the books for a long time now, and we've been working with Public Works and 3 additional mayors, you know, for the longest to get this done. You know, and also, you know, as one of my colleagues have just said to me, it's very important that we get the ingress and egress to downtown. It's very important. You know, and I just want to thank everybody for the consideration. Please vote for this. It's going to help a lot of Nashvillians and a lot of people get through traffic a lot easier. Because any of you those who made that commute through that intersection during rush hour, during school times, know that those repairs have been badly needed for a long time. And it is an economic hub for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Glover.
Thank you, Chair. Well, you know, I'm glad we're taking a roll call vote on this. I really am, because it's going to be easy for the police, the fire, the teachers, and everybody else to understand that we're about to increase our debt service payments, not only on this, but next year I think we increase our debt service in excess of $40 million. And so, you know, I'm going to support the deferral, not because I don't support Councilman Davis's project, but I was going to support the deferral. I did support the deferral. I'm not going to vote for it, and I'm sorry that I made a misstep on that. I'm not going to vote for it because, frankly, I don't think we have enough information yet. And we can act however we want, that there's time-sensitive things. I don't think there's anything in here that 3 weeks would have killed us on. But you know, I regret that we get something a week ago. We get answers from questions we asked, pretty detailed questions we asked yesterday in Budget and Finance. We get them throughout the day today. First one we got was incorrect. Then the corrected version came in because there were a number of us who were asking, wait a minute, those numbers don't seem quite right. So as we spend $351 million here, it astonishes me that we'll do it, because the answer is going to be, we didn't make any cuts in the last budget season, nothing substantial. The answer is going to be what the answer always is. We'll just raise everybody's taxes. That's how we'll pay for everything else. Well, it doesn't work that way in our households. So I regret that we couldn't spend a little bit of time and look at this more diligently to understand what we're actually doing to the taxpayers of Nashville. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vercher.
That was left over, Madam Speaker.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Hagar.
Well, as you know, I've voted to defer this, but I'm asking for a suspension of the rules to make an amendment for a community center in Old Hickory.
Is there an objection to the suspension of the rules? Seeing none, Councilmember?
I have an oral amendment. As you know, I've put this in the CIB for the last 3 years to have the community center renovated or rebuilt. It was built in the 60s. It is not ADA compliant. And I talked to the head of Metro's ADA today. He indicated that if there is a complaint filed that it's not ADA compliant, then it would go to the Department of Justice, and then at that point in time, Metro would have to comply and make it ADA compliant at that point in time. As you know, last year, it was approved for $300,000, and that was used to make the plans for the new community center, because at that point in time, Collier Engineering did a report on it and said, well, it's going to cost more to renovate than it is just to tear it down and build a new one. So I'm asking that this body support me as I've supported every one of you all when a community center was built, a park was built ahead of me the last 3 years. And I'm asking to amend the capital spending plan to add $12 million. And this is 18 PR 0031 in the CIB. Thank you all very much.
We have a motion for an amendment. Is there a second? Mr. Jameson, can you explain how this would work?
The CIB, the capital spending plan initial resolution can be amended. It has been amended in the past. It is important that the figure in the caption, the figure in the text, and the figure in the attachment, Exhibit A, be consistent. So you've provided the CIB number. That should provide the relevant funding, and we will submit in the morning a written codification of that amendment. As I understand it now, it's, I believe you said 12 million for 18 PR 0031. That's the project number in the CIB.
And when you say the numbers have to match, does that mean they can now be changed to add that 12 million, or?
They have to be. The caption states in your initial resolution now 351 million. That's the same number that appears in the text, and that's the same when you do the math on the attachment Exhibit A. Those all have to be aligned. So the amendment will essentially be a substitute to that initial resolution that changes the numbers by the requisite number for the project.
And so just from a procedural standpoint, we can change the caption of a bill by introducing a substitute?
Correct.
That is correct. Okay. Thank you. So we have an amendment. I expect there may be others like this. We've also had discussion on concern on how this given number will affect our future bonding. Keep that in mind as we continue this discussion. So we have an amendment and a second. I have a number of people in the queue. Do any of you wish to speak on the amendment? Councilmember Elrod. Sorry, I just turned you off. Let me try that again. Councilmember Elrod.
Thank you, ma'am. I was actually in the queue for something else, but I guess I will ask the Department of Finance, what's going to happen if we approve this?
In terms of the amendment,
Yes, ma'am.
it depends on, is it the intention of the body to take that $12 million from a different allocation or to increase the total of the capital spending plan?
I haven't heard anyone make a recommendation to reduce any amount yet. I would say at the moment it's to increase.
Okay, then that increases our debt and our programming, so we would just have additional debt service.
This pains me to say it because I want to support Councilman Hagar, and I do. But if we're going to start putting projects into the CSP on the fly, I'm going to start going back to the CIB and start doing it as well. If we approve this, I'm going to have one right behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to attempt to deal with people who have not spoken yet by issue. So we are on this amendment. Councilmember Henderson, do you still wish to speak on this amendment?
I guess what I would say related to this amendment is I want to support Councilman Hager, but I think, colleagues, this is why we defer at one meeting so that we can have these conversations in committee. So I guess I would ask Councilman Hager and the Parks Department, do you need the full 12 million now? Are we going to deliberate as a body here on the floor from whence we are pulling the 12 million, or if we're going to pull half the 12 million? I would ask perhaps us to consider, Councilman Hagar, if we might achieve consensus in the body, if you were to withdraw your amendment, then I would then move to defer the bill as amended, since Councilman Mendez has amended the bill. So as it relates to Councilman Hager's amendment, I would ask, please, either that he consider it not being that full amount and kind of for colleagues to think about how we're going to be dealing with this on the floor, and commit to try to defer the bill again if he is not successful in his amendment.
Thank you. Councilmember Hagar, I'll let you respond to that.
Well, and that's why I voted for the deferral of the whole bill to begin with. And when that failed, I had no choice but to make this amendment. If there's a way that some other things can be cut out without compromising them, that's fine. But this is the only way I knew to bring this to light after I've been trying to do this for 3 years, and I got bypassed by everybody else that wanted parks and things done in community centers, and mine was never getting funded. And I'm like, what do I do? This is my job. My job is to propose these things and try to get them funded. And if they don't get funded, then this is my last resort. What else do I do but do this? But if it got deferred, I would defer this. But at this point in time, that's not on the table. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Other discussion on the amendment? Councilmember Mendez. Hang on, I need to turn off a few mics. You're recognized.
Thanks. I would just strongly urge everybody to resist the wanting to get in the weeds on the pros and cons of individual projects. The body spoke about deferral, and the answer was they didn't want to defer it. And I think rather than getting into individual projects, we should just vote up or down on the capital spending plan. the river north with the infrastructure on the other side of the river. On the merits, that's gulch level, Sobro level increase in downtown density, and there's going to be some infrastructure with costs with that. On the community center in Councilman Hager's community, that's an important thing that's been delayed too long. But I don't think pushing the size of this bigger or engaging in debate on individual projects after the body has already decided it doesn't want to defer this thing is useful because I think all we're going to do is beat down the merits of projects in the moment that we would probably all get behind generally. So I would, one, think we should resist that. Two, I don't think that we should be making this number any bigger with amendments. So I'm going to vote against the amendment. And if some other motion to defer comes up that's proper, I would urge that so we could have desires for changes to be handled in the ordinary course rather than on the floor. But if absent that, then we should just vote up or down. You're either with it or against it.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment? There are so many that there are some below, so you just now moved to the top. Do you wish to speak on the amendment? Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Madam. Just want to make sure that you see me in the queue there. So on the amendment and the deferral, I guess it was kind of to speak to Councilmember Mendez's point. I'm trying to understand, I was listening, I'm not clear about if there's a fiscal concern, or we're concerned about we don't have our projects in here, or we didn't get the updated information. So in other words, after we amend this, and the persons that want a deferral, I'm not clear about how that deferral looks. Once we have that deferral, are we gonna have a meeting? Are we gonna look at more numbers? Are we looking at the project? And I mean, I would just like to hear more about that. I'm not for it, against it, but I would like to hear more discussion for those persons that are against the deferral. And the second piece is I definitely support the council member. Like he said, he's been working on this for 8 years, so we do want to honor that as well. So I'm not opposed to a deferral, but I do want to hear how that looks, and I haven't heard that yet. I just heard some concerns, and I'm not really clear about what the true concerns are, and I don't want his project to get bundled in the process because I know that there are certain needs that have been needed for a long time. So with that, I've made my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So we have an amendment hanging out there. I am recognizing people who have comments on Councilmember Hagar's amendment about the community center in his area. Are there further comments on that amendment? Seeing none, we are voting on the amendment for $12 million to be added for Old Hickory Community Center. Councilmember Hagar.
Can I ask Mr. Jamison, if I pass my proposed amendment in one meeting, can I do that without compromising my position on this?
It would depend on what happens to the underlying resolution. The motion to defer failed, so there's no amendment to offer if the resolution goes forward tonight. You'd be relegated to the next initial resolution that comes down the pike.
It wouldn't do me any good to pass this, right? It wouldn't do me any good to pass it in one meeting if the capital spending budget passes tonight.
If you mean defer it one meeting, no, it wouldn't.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I hesitate to ask this question, but I will. Mr. Jamison, can you tell us if procedurally, if we wanted to revisit the question of deferral, how that would work, since Councilmember Mendez raised that question?
There are two options. The council can always rescind any affirmative action it has taken, but that takes 27 votes. The other option is essentially there's no repeating of motions. If a motion is made and it fails, you can't just turn around and make the same motion. The key being the same motion. The motion by Councillady Vercher for a deferral I construed as a one-meeting deferral. Technically, someone could ask for a two-meeting deferral. Capital spending plans have been deferred 2 meetings in the past. on occasion. That would be a separate motion and not violate the same motion rule, but otherwise, the previous deferral motion was defeated 21-9.
Thank you. That's helpful to understand. Okay. Any other comments on Councilmember Hagar's amendment? Councilmember Henderson, is this on the amendment or the question we're discussing at the moment? Point of order, question, Councilmember Scott Davis.
Sorry.
Point of order. I didn't hear yours was point of order. You're next. Point of order.
This was Councilman Hager's amendment. So yeah, I had a comment on that.
Not a comment. Point of order. I recognize you
yes.
for a point of order.
Yes, when you asked, pardon me, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
When you asked the question, any more comment on the gentleman's or Old Hickory's amendment, I was pushing my button and I had my hand raised. It was not recognized.
You were recognized, and then Councilmember Henderson.
All right.
Please be brief if you can.
I am.
Thank you.
Just a quick question, okay? Maybe this will help everybody. Mr. Jameson, okay, as we've said in previous meetings, the council itself can bring forward bond resolutions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And Mr. Hager's, if I believe, this has been on the capital improvements, this has been in the book for at least 4 or 5 years, or how long that Mr. Hager's been on this council. So it's in the CIB.
It is in the CIB, correct.
So hypothetically, if a bill comes back 2 weeks from now that has a new bond resolution, which there is one in the works, could they add Councilman Hager's information to that bill?
A subsequent initial resolution can always be introduced and add Councilman Hager's project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you. My point of order is that my inquiry is around a unique or new motion to defer the bill as amended. When we first deferred the bill, Councilman Mendez we had not yet amended it. And so we have not voted to amend the bill as it relates to Councilman Hager's amendment. So that is still out there. So we could, I believe, Mr. Jameson, can you confirm, move to defer the bill as amended one meeting?
By the slimmest of margins, that is a judgment call, but Robert's rules only prohibits a repeat motion, an identical motion. And I would agree that a motion to defer a bill as amended differs from a motion to defer on the original bill.
Thank you for that clarification.
May I move
He
to?
hasn't amended it yet.
We have an amendment hanging out there. Unless that amendment is withdrawn, we need to vote on that amendment. Mendez's has been amended. That is correct. I believe that's the point that council member was making.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I shouldn't speak without the microphone. So to clarify, there has been an amendment made and passed. We have another amendment that's hanging out there that we either need to deal with or withdraw. I am just waiting briefly to see where we're going. Councilmember Hagar, because we need to vote.
After discussion, I'm going to withdraw my amendment, and I'll come back with a separate bond resolution.
Okay, amendment is withdrawn. So we are now back to regular discussion. Councilmember DaCosta Hastings.
Thank you. I just wanted to call for the question.
Excuse me. Okay, it's been called for the question. All in favor? Opposed? There has not been an amendment made. We are on the bill at the moment. Do we need a?
It's a 2/3 requirement, so you might go to.
Okay, let's go to the. This is a vote on the boards on call to the question. Is everyone clear what we're voting on? We are voting on whether or not to cut off debate on the bill. As amended.
Did somebody move it as amended? We'll wait and see if the previous question passes, then take the motion. So once it passes, then you'll say, is there a motion for approval as amended?
Correct. We are voting now on the question to cut off debate on the bill. Yes, Councilmember Henderson. The question has been called on the bill. Is that correct? That's what we were back to. The bill, it has been amended once, and the question has been called on the bill. Councilmember Henderson and then Councilmember Glover.
I don't believe the bill has been moved as amended at this juncture, so I would move to table the question.
I don't believe
on
you
the
can
question
table the
motion.
question.
No.
We can vote on the question, and that's where we are.
You can vote to cut off debate. Following that, there will presumably be a motion to move the bill as amended with Councilman Mendez's amendment.
Well, so who made the motion that Councilman Hastings is calling the question on?
Councilmember Vercher moved the bill.
No, she moved the bill. She didn't, no one's moved the bill as amended.
So where does that leave us, Council?
You can call the previous question simply to end debate. That simply
And that's
cuts
where we
off
are.
the discussion. Then you'll have a motion to move as approved or as amended.
After we cut off the debate. Do you still have a point of order, Councilmember Glover? Or did that answer your question?
No, I want a little more clarification. So, Mr. Jameson, help me understand. All right, I understand we're calling the question, but it was, I had interpreted that the amendment had been done as well, but you're saying, no, it has not been.
By calling a previous question, you're simply cutting off the debate. Once the debate is made, the motion to...
Okay, then this is my point of order, Chair. If we've passed the amendment and Council Lady Henderson moved for deferral of the amended bill, I'm trying to figure out where we are in the process because we've been doing really nice loop-de-loop circles in here tonight.
Unless you're understanding the question.
Can we, I believe that Councilmember Henderson asked for deferral before Councilmember Mendez's amendment was made. Is that correct?
I don't think so.
It was after his amendment was made.
Yes.
Hager withdrew.
I've not yet made, as a point of order, I've not yet made that motion.
Correct.
I've asked through point of order and by way of comment on the amendment if that would be feasible, but I have
Correct.
not made that amendment.
Correct. Okay, that's understood.
You'll vote no.
And so
So you would vote no on the previous question, and it takes
That motion.
2/3.
it takes 2/3 to cut off debate, and we are voting on whether to cut off debate on the bill, which has not been moved as amended, simply on the bill as it was originally moved. We are simply voting to cut off debate. And then when we cut off debate, Councilmember Vercher will have the floor again to make some motion. That is where we are. Is that clear? Clear as mud. And so, Madam Clerk, can you open the machine? We are simply voting to cut off debate. It takes 2/3. So we are simply voting to cut off debate. It takes 2/3, which means everybody needs to vote. Thank you. Madam Clerk, has everyone voted? This is 2/3 of the members voting, is that correct?
2/3 of the body.
Of the body. Okay.
22 in favor, none against.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? 22.
22 in favor, none against. The system is...
Previous question passes.
Previous question passes.
Is that right? No, hang on. Sorry. It's... What's that? Yeah, 2/3 of the body.
So
it's
2/3 of the body is, or is it?
2/3 of the body, of the members to which the council is entitled. That's 40, so it takes 27.
27. It takes 27 to cut off debate.
So the
And
debate is
so
continuing.
that was 22. We have not cut off the debate. So we are back to general debate.
Council rule,
Robert's rules,
Robert's rules.
two-thirds members are entitled and not.
2/3 of the body. So we're still on.
We're all learning something tonight. We're back on general debate. Councilmember Henderson, do you wish to speak now? You're in the queue next.
Yes, ma'am.
You're recognized.
Colleagues, I think we've seen how fraught this is when we don't discuss this stuff in committee. We need to use our committee structure to fully vet the various sections of this CSP. I don't want us to be on the floor, pulling money out of projects to put over here and adding projects in and just doing it on the fly. That is not responsible budgeting. I want all my colleagues to get the projects that they have in the CSP. We are only talking on one end of the spectrum about minor tweaks and needs, and then more broadly about some bigger concerns that Councilman Cooper is speaking to. And so we are simply talking about one meeting, colleagues. Can we please not show our community that we care enough about how we are going to spend $351 million? And so in that spirit and supportive spirit of all the things that you all want to achieve in your districts, I think if we just have an objective conversation with a little more intention as to parks, public works budget, and some of these bigger buckets, we can get there one meeting from now. And so with that, I would move to defer the bill as amended one meeting, please.
It's been moved and seconded. There are 4 members in the queue. Are you there to discuss the motion to defer? I would assume so. Councilmember Hurt, do you want to speak on the motion to defer or something else? Okay, you're out. Okay, everyone has spoken. I'm going to go back through. Councilmember Elrod, do you want to speak on the motion to defer? No, I'm turning you off. Councilmember Erica Gilmore, do you want to speak on the motion to defer?
I do. I think I shared earlier, I would just like to hear more about how the process looks once we defer it, and just to make sure that we're just not pulling projects out that people have been working on, or council members that have been working on for years. So I'm interested in seeing how that works. Are we coming back together as a body? Are we doing budget and finance? Are we doing each committee that would be affected? I would like to hear more about that, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Furcher.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I could offer a friendly amendment to Councilmember Henderson's amendment to defer the bill as amended with a re-referral back to Budget and Finance. I want to speak to colleagues to the ask for the deferral. This isn't saying that any project that wasn't valid, wasn't good in this capital spending plan. In my opinion, it's a great capital spending plan. However, there are still lingering questions as it relates to the authorization of this $351 million. And it is prudent upon us to make sure that we have those questions answered. To address Council Lady Gilmore's as it relates to the process is the committee structure. But as many of us know, sometimes questions aren't spurred not until you have that robust discussion, you have that robust dialogue, you go home, you sleep on it, and then certain questions arise. And that's where we are. The deferral isn't to say we're going to go in and manipulate the capital spending plan. The deferral was just me as your chair, listening to many of your concerns. And many of you know I've given the committee report as it relates to Budget and Finance. The committee was split. A capital spending plan should not be hard. It shouldn't be divided like how it was. Deferral is warranted for those council members that still want to continue to seek out those particulars as it relates to some of the items in the capital spending plan. When I made my motion earlier with the deferral and a re-referral back to budget, and Madam Speaker, you asked about the amendments, and I said no, because the deferral would have afforded council members time to work with department members, additional time, and the chair and the council staff to get the questions and to put them at ease with some of the items in the capital spending plan. All the items are great projects. It's going to benefit everyone in this chamber. With that said, it doesn't mean that we need to forfeit our duty in vetting the plan as it relates to the items that's in it. There were some questions asked earlier about a particular project as to why the cost, and that question was not answered. We owe it to the constituents of this city to be able to answer the why in the capital spending plan. And like many of you, we got emails. I know Budget and Finance Committee members, you got emails as late as 11 o'clock last night. Myself, and I know other committee members from what you expressed to me today, you were up in the wee hours of the morning looking at the information, including myself, the information that was provided to us. Many of you in this body, you have not been afforded that. One, you just got the information today when some of you were even in committee. And when I was asking you, had you read it, many of you said, I mean, you were honest. You said, no, the city, we owe the city better. Last year, we know we had our budget challenges. We have to make sure that we're vetting our spending. That's not going to say that this capital spending plan, the deferral, we're going to be going in and looking at it to actually change it. Do someone need to yield their time for me, or am I okay, Madam Speaker?
Officially, yes. Would anyone like to wield their time? Councilmember Swope.
I yield my time.
Thank you. Councilmember Verger.
Thank you, Councilman Swope. Madam Speaker and colleagues, this is $351 million. It's not unprecedented for a body to yield a capital spending plan for one meeting. And the Budget and Finance Committee, as I stated earlier, it was split. And we need to make sure that the message that we're sending to the public, because once we vote on this, this is no longer the capital spending plan from the mayor's office. This is our capital spending plan. Once we vote on it, it becomes our capital spending plan. And we need to make sure that we are comfortable and we can articulate what this plan means to the community. I know I can. If you're sitting at your desk and you can't say that without a shadow of a doubt, you don't need to be voting for it. We need to support a deferral.
Thank you. Councilmember Hurt, do you wish to speak, or were you? Yes. Okay, Councilmember Hurt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think it's a great plan. I think it brings good balance. And there is no guarantee that people are going to be at ease if we defer it for 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings. There is no guarantee that there won't be any changes in the plan. And we're going to be right back where we are today. We have to move forward. We've made decisions in the past, and everybody was not happy about them, but we had to make those hard decisions. And we've got to do the same thing tonight. And I think we need to go ahead, make the decisions, and move forward. I think Councilmember Vercher has done a great job in working with the administration and coming up with an excellent plan. And I am for it, and I think we need to move forward.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the queue, we are voting on a one meeting deferral on the bill as amended to be re-referred to Budget and Finance. Did I get that right? Okay. Does everybody understand what we're voting on? All those in favor? Opposed? No. We'll go to the machine. Madam Clerk, will you open the machines? So yes means defer, no means come back and vote some more. Has everyone voted? I believe so. Madam Clerk, will you close the machines?
10 in favor, 20 against, and 1 abstention.
Motion to defer fails. We are back on the bill. Councilman, as amended, thank you. So we're back on the bill as amended. Seeing no one else, whoops, spoke too soon. Councilmember Sledge.
I was going to call the question.
Call the question. You're the last one in the queue, so we will vote. All those in favor of the bill as amended indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Go to the machines. Now we are voting on the bill as amended. Has everyone voted? Madam Clerk?
22 in favor, 8 against, and 1 abstention.
Bill passes. Thank you for a robust debate. Mr. Vice Mayor, if you want to take over. Huh? I just had the one more.
Good job.
Thank you. We are on this one, which is to be deferred.
You may want to stay up here and tell me where we are.
We're on this resolution, and then we come back to those bills.
It's 1455 is Hall.
So we're 1455 right there.
Okay. And these things have been, these things are on consent.
Those are consent. That one hasn't been done.
Okay, so we're
And then
just on
we'll
this
come
one
back to
and this one.
And then that one.
Okay.
Starting there.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. All right, thank you, Councilmember Allen, for handling this. I was actually swearing in session 85 of the new police department because the mayor was not able to do it. Sounds like you all had a very healthy debate, and we will proceed from there. We are on Resolution RS 2018-1455 by Councilmember Hall. This determines an issuance of general obligation bonds to the Metropolitan government in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $25 million. Councilman Hall.
Move to defer one meeting.
Okay, I think we need committee reports. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. At the request of the sponsor, Budget and Finance recommended a 1-meeting deferral, 12 for, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Hall, now your motion.
I will make a motion to defer this bill. One meeting, please.
Okay, so I have a motion to defer. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay. And now we are on a late file resolution. Okay. This is by Council Member Vercher. This approves a grant transfer from MDHA of a grant from the Tennessee Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Homeless Management Information System to be transferred to Metro Social Services. Looks like there may be a proposed amendment and a substitute needed. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. You want committee reports or?
I think because it's a late file, do we need a
I need to suspend the
motion?
rules.
You need to suspend the rules so we get in front of us.
Okay, I move to suspend the rules.
Okay, so there's a motion properly seconded to suspend the rules. Any objection? One objection. Is there a second one? So I see just one objection. So rules are suspended. So you're back on your resolution. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And we do have a substitute, correct, Mr. Jameson? So do we want committee reports, or how do you want me to move the substitute? How you want me to do it, Vice Mayor?
So I guess go ahead and move the substitute so we can get it in front of the body, and then we can take up the amendment. And I'm looking for, looks like you're also going to have a committee report. Did it go in front of a committee?
You went to budget.
Okay.
All right, so Councilmember Vercher, go ahead and move the substitute. Let's get that in front of us, and then we can discuss the amendment.
Okay, I'll move the substitute.
Okay, the substitute's been moved, properly seconded. Now so we've got the, let's vote on the substitute and get that in front of us. All in favor of the substitute indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We're on the substitute. Now you're on your, I think it's got an amendment with it.
No, just the substitute.
Just the substitute. Okay, so we've got the amendment in front of us. We've got the substitute in front of us properly before us. Now I need a motion to, well, you've got the motion to, and it's been properly seconded on the substitute. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Do you want to know what the, any explanation on what the substitute does? Before we actually vote on it, maybe we should have just a brief discussion on what the substitute does.
Mr. Jamison?
Sure. The substitute, the initial resolution essentially had the council approving a grant transfer. There's also an underlying MOU that requires the council's approval, so the substitute adds the approval of the memorandum of understanding.
Okay. Any discussion about that? Okay, seeing none, we are on the substitute. This is this late filed resolution by Councilmember Vercher. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, so we are now, I think that takes care of all the matters on the consent agenda and on resolution. So we are now trying to catch up here. I think we can go back to the tax increment financing study and formulating committee. I'm not exactly sure how far down the calendar did it get put here. Is this where we are?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we are now back on page 1. Okay. This is these are the council selections to fill the 3 vacant positions on the tax increment financing study and formulating committee. Okay, we haven't taken up any of them. Okay, so now we are back on, we actually had the appointment of Mayor Briley's nominees. This is Mr. Brian Kelsey and Ms. Talia Lomax O'Neill, along with the appointment of MDHA's nominees, Mr. Charles Robert Bone and Mr. Burt Matthews. I appreciate every one of you all staying here so we could get through this. Let's take up the appointment of Mr. Briley's nominees first, Mr. Brian Kelsey and Ms. Talia Lomax O'Neill. I'm going to go to Chairman Lee for a report.
The Rules Committee approved these 5-0.
Okay, both nominees?
Yes, we did them together.
And then we have to vote on these? Yeah. Okay, so we now have to take a vote on these. So we have the report from the Rules Committee that they've been approved 5-0. Can I have a motion on both nominees? Motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Council Lady Allen.
I was just making sure you knew to go back and catch those.
All right.
Mr. Jamison got it.
Thank you. All right. All right. So anybody else on the queue? Seeing no one else, all in favor of those 2 nominations indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right. Mr. Rosenberg? Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is regarding the way we're going to vote on those, the council nominees. Do you want to introduce those?
You want to do MDHA's?
We're going to do MDH,
okay,
and then we'll come
you.
back to you. Okay. Okay, so now we are on, this is the appointment of MDHA's nominees, Mr. Charles Robert Bone and Mr. Burt Matthews. Councilmember Lee.
Yes, the Rules Committee approved both Mr. Bone and Mr. Matthew 5-0.
Okay, can I have a motion to go ahead and approve?
So moved.
You got the motion and the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our default for the way we voted on multiple members to a committee in the past has been where we vote one at a time, and that's often left members voting for their same most preferred candidate 3 times and really only getting to vote for 1 member instead of 3 members. So I don't know if this is a motion or a suggestion, but I'd just like to suggest that maybe we use Rule 43 that we as a council implemented for the IDB and the HEF so that everybody can vote for 3 people at the same time and all get an adequate voice in it. So however.
So let me, thank you, Council Member. I'm going to turn to Mr. Jameson, and this is a unique situation. We've been discussing this, trying to figure exactly how we do this. So let me turn to Mr. Jameson, and then I'll come back to Council Member Rosenberg as to whether we proceed in that fashion. Mr. Jameson?
We have really 3 rules that sort of discuss how we elect people to various commissions. Rule 42 is specific to the Planning, Traffic and Parking Commission, and those commissions to which only council members can be appointed. Rule 43 is about the IDB and the Health and Educational Facilities Board. 41 is just sort of the generic catch-all, and that just talks about each position requires, to be confirmed by the council, requires a majority of the entire council, or 21 votes. All of those rules are subject to suspension if another voting method is selected. What Councilman Rosenberg proposes, essentially instant runoff voting. What's intended to be avoided there is the individuals who are not selected tend to be not selected over and over and over again on multiple rounds of votes, and that can be uncomfortable. But with suspension of the rules, you could approach it per Rule 43's instant runoff voting.
Okay. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend Rule 41 and use Rule 43 that we've used in the past for multi-confirmation boards, please.
Okay, so I have this is a move to suspend the rules to actually use Rule 43's process in terms of this process.
Are there any objections?
And it's been seconded. Are there any objections? I see one. Only see one objection, so we are now on the motion, okay? All right, so I have people in the queue. Councilmember Hurt, do you wish to be recognized on the motion?
Well, not on the motion, but on the committee. I wanted to say something.
Okay, so let me go back to, because, okay, so we are actually on a motion the rules have been suspended. We are on this motion to use Rule 43. Councilmember Gilmore, you also, do you want to be recognized on this?
No, I guess it's just a point of order. How many objections does it take?
2. Okay. So, Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've heard Mr. Rosenberg talk about instant runoff, and I think it's an awesome idea. My understanding is that involves rating people, and I'm not sure our machines do that. So are we just voting for 3 people? Each of us is voting for 3 people, and then you'll count them up and see how it goes.
All right, so this is important. So let me go back to Mr. Jameson, and we suspended the rules. Do we have to actually vote on that motion to go further?
We'll vote on the motion to approve instant runoff voting, Rule 43.
So what I want to do is have Mr. Jameson explain again what we are getting ready to vote on. We're not voting on any candidates at this point. We're voting on the procedure that we're going to use. Mr. Jameson.
So the standard approach or typical approach is, in this scenario, you have 3 seats to fill. You have at least 6 candidates. So 3 of those candidates are not going to get selected, and we do each seat at a time so they don't get selected a first time, a second time, a third time. That can be uncomfortable. What instant runoff voting allows, we would hand out a paper ballot because our machines are not equipped for it quite yet. You'll get a slip that has 3 blanks, and in one ballot, you write 3 names. It'll take a little tabulation here, but anyone that gets the majority and or 21, majority of the council, or the top vote getter, those individuals are selected. And then you can go to a next round if necessary, and those who are not selected are deemed to be candidates in the next round. You continue doing that until all seats are filled.
Councilmember Allen.
So again, so the order that we write these down on these pieces of paper does not mean anything?
Correct.
We would continue to fill out pieces of paper?
Well, the first name you write doesn't mean you like that person any better than the third name you write, but
okay.
you cast 3 names in your first ballot, and it could be resolved in 1 ballot, perhaps 2.
Okay. And that couldn't be done by machine?
I don't think we're equipped for that, but.
We're checking with the clerk. Can we do that by machine, or are we going to have to do it by paper ballot? We're going to have to do it by paper ballot, okay? Okay, so if we do it, we may have to keep going for a little while to get the paper ballots prepared, okay? which means that the people in the back are just going to have to hang in with us a little bit longer.
Danielle's got them,
Have you got them?
but the motion
Oh.
hasn't passed yet.
We do have them, okay. So we do have something that we can use. All right, so let me ask questions. Let me make sure that there are no questions about what we're getting ready to vote on. We have a motion on the floor by Councilmember Rosenberg to actually use a different type of procedure, use the procedure that we use under Rule 43. We will pass out a paper ballot where you will write 3 names.
Correct.
And then we will collect them and then tabulate the votes.
Correct.
And again, if the, let me make sure I've got this right. Do they have to, are we looking for a majority? Do they have to get a majority vote?
In every ballot, you'll pick the top recipient of votes, whoever that is, regardless of the number he gets. If somebody else gets 21, crosses the threshold, you pick that person or persons as well. It's possible this could be resolved in one ballot.
Got it.
If not,
Okay.
you just do it again.
Does everyone understand that? No. Okay, so let's, okay, you understand it. Okay. So, so the way this is going to work is that if this is approved, if this process is approved, then what we will do is we will pass out a ballot. It's got 3 names on it. We will then collect them and tabulate the votes. If one member gets 21 votes, then we will do another process and pass out another set of ballots.
You will pick the top vote getter regardless. If there's a second person who is second place but got 21 votes, you'll pick him as well.
Okay. All right.
Or her. Or her.
Or her.
them.
All right.
Sorry.
We got it. Okay, so I'm going to go to Councilmember Freeman for a question.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And, you know, with great respect to my colleague to the back there, I'm going to move to table this motion just for the fact of we're going to be here all night, scribbling down on some papers. You're going to be counting. We're going to be moving along. So just in an effort to keep this meeting moving, I would previously ask for a table motion.
All right, so I have a motion to table. Is there a second? Motion to table and a second cuts all off debate except for the original maker of the motion and the maker of the tabling motion. So Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll only be here all night if we debate this motion all night, frankly. It could be just one. Everybody writes down their paper, and instead of going through 3 rounds of voting for the same person over and over, we send up our ballots, and we're good to go, faster than I said this. Thank you.
Councilmember Freeman.
We spent lots of good money on these fine machines in front of us. Let's put them to use.
All right, so we are on the tabling motion. I'm going to actually ask that the clerk open up the board. So what has happened is there's a motion by Councilmember Rosenberg to use the techniques of Rule 43, which will require the written ballot. That was properly seconded. We haven't voted on that yet. Councilmember Freeman has moved to table that motion, to take it to the table. So we are going to be voting on the tabling motion. So Mr. Jameson, if you will explain before we open the board, if you vote yes, what are you voting for? And if you vote no, what are you voting for?
If you agree with Councilman Freeman, you will vote yes. Yes. Sorry. Couldn't even get it out of my throat. If you agree with Councilman Freeman, you'll vote yes to table the motion, and if that prevails, that will win. Sorry.
All right, so let me repeat what Mr. Jameson said, because since you couldn't understand him. If you want to table the motion, if you want to vote with Councilmember Freeman, you vote yes on the tabling motion. If you do not, if you agree with Councilmember Rosenberg, you would vote no. Okay? Any questions before we proceed? All right, Madam Clerk, if you will open the board. There's a majority vote, just on the total people voting.
Thank you.
We got everybody voted? No? Madam Clerk? We good?
You want me to close it?
Close the machine. Take the vote.
6 in favor, 24 against.
Okay, so the tabling motion fails. We are back on the motion. Councilmember Elrod.
Question. Previous question.
Previous question. A second on the previous question? All right. Okay, so we're on the previous question. Vote. All in favor of the previous question, vote aye. Opposed, vote no. So the prevailing question is approved. We are on the Councilmember Rosenberg's motion to use the technique required in Rule 43. All those in favor of Councilmember Rosenberg's motion, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. All right, let's go on the board. All right, Madam Clerk, if you will open the board, we are on Councilmember Rosenberg's motion. Yeah, we won't. Yeah. Do you have them? Or do you want, does Mike have them? Okay. So we also make sure everybody knows how many people are still there.
Yeah, they'll also need to sign their slips and put their district number on it. Maybe print their names.
Okay, all right. Okay, we ready? Madam Clerk, close the board, tally the vote.
28 in favor, 3 against.
Okay, so the motion prevails. So we are on this technique. We are making sure that we have all the paperwork in order. Okay, so
Print their name.
So I think we are ready to pass out the first set of ballots. Okay, let's make sure that we're clear. I'm going to, before we do, Danielle, before we do this, I think Councilmember Mendez has a question. Councilmember Mendez.
Since I'm one of the nominees, I would like to be marked as abstaining in this vote.
Okay, all right. Properly noted. Councilmember Sledge for a point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. We were having robust discussion over here as to whether folks who nominated or supported particular nominees would have the chance to make the case for their nominees. So.
If you want to do that, I've got a list of who.
All right. If you want to do that, then I think we're going to do it. But before you do that, let me go to Councilmember Hurd, who had a question.
I don't have a question. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. But I have a statement that I'd like to make.
Okay.
And that is that I want to first thank all of the nominees for accepting to be considered for this committee. I found each candidate to be exceptional, and they all would make great members. However, I am employing this council, just like I have the candidates, to be intentional about inclusion and diversity when they cast their votes. I actually wanted to suggest that Councilmember Mendez be appointed as an ex officio since he was the sponsor of this resolution or bill, and found out that it was too late and it needed to have been done earlier. Therefore, I am suggesting that the council members utilize, or that the council member utilize his privilege to attend all meetings and offer input and allow the committee. I wish I could have some undivided attention here.
Got it. It's all your floor.
I think this is a very serious situation. And I think if we're going to speak and talk about inclusion and diversity, we really need to be intentional about it. And we serve as the leaders and examples, and I think we must do that first and foremost. Therefore, I'm asking that we let this committee be a true reflection of the community input and offer these particular appointments to the community.
All right. Thank you, council member. All right. So before anybody actually turns in the sheets, here's what I'm going to do. First of all, we originally started with 13 names that were nominated last meeting. We are now down to 6. Correct. So I'm going to make sure that we're clear on who the nominations are and then who nominated who. And what I will do is I'm going to go through the list first, then I'm going to go back to the person that nominated the individual, ask if they have a comment that they would like to make. We're going to reserve it just for the sponsor, the person who nominated the individual. And then after we close that, then we're going to take the vote. Okay? Everybody got it? Any questions before I do anything else? All right. So there are 6 members. We started with 13. We are now down to 6. Councilmember Rosenberg nominated Dr. Paulette Coleman. Councilmember Allen nominated Councilmember Bob Mendes. Councilmember O'Connell nominated Mr. Larry Papel. Councilmember Pulley nominated Mr. Richard Warren. Councilmember Hurt nominated Mr. Dan Lane. And Councilmember Vercher nominated Ms. Megan Streams. Now, since I missed the first part of the meeting, do we need a report from the Rules Committee just to make sure that they were verified and they were? That hasn't been done yet, I assume. Okay, so Councilmember Lee, I'm going to come to you and make sure, get a report from the Rules Committee on these 6 individuals.
The Rules Committee approved Coleman, Lane, Mendez, Propel, Streams, Warren, as all being qualified to serve.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so now we're going to go back individually. You're allowed to speak if you would like to. You don't have to, but I'm going to go to Councilmember Rosenberg first. He nominated Dr. Paulette Coleman. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was my pleasure to nominate Dr. Coleman for this committee. She has spent the last 5 years as the chair of NOAA's Affordable Housing Task Force. She has a PhD in urban planning, and she also has a great deal of experience with community economic development. She's hardworking. She's been involved in our community for quite some time on a variety of important issues, and she would be a great voice on this. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Allen nominated Councilmember Bob Mendes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I just would like to say I would recommend Bob Mendez very wholeheartedly for this. As the sponsor of the bill to create this committee, he's very familiar with its goals and objectives. He has, through his years on the council, demonstrated a deep knowledge of all things funding and has always been very thoughtful and thorough in evaluating anything that comes before the council, and I think he would add valuable experience and knowledge to this committee.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember O'Connell nominated Mr. Larry Papel. Councilmember O'Connell is.
There's a letter.
Oh, there's a letter. Is there a letter on the desk?
Yes.
There's a letter on the desk talking about Mr. Papel, if you would take a look at that. Okay, Councilmember Pulley that nominated Mr. Richard Warren. Councilmember Pulley.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. When I look at this committee, I think it's very, very important that we need people on this committee with very sound technical knowledge of tax increment financing, as it is a very complex issue. I do agree with Councilor Hurt that we do need inclusiveness, and we do have 3 members of this committee, but it's very important for me also that we have someone who knows this up one side and down the other. In addition to that, I think the person who has this knowledge also needs to be a type of person that is not really representative of any particular population or having any particular agenda in mind. And I think you have that in Richard Warren. He's got 42 years experience in this world of commercial real estate with Bradley Arent Bolt Cummings. I'm not going to go over the specifics of his resume because you all have that before you. But when I first got to know him, it was important for me to find out more about him, and I did. And what struck me is, in addition to his exceptional knowledge of TIF, he also has an exceptional community service background with a lot of pro bono work in the affordable housing industry. And you'll see through his work with the Housing Fund and his work with the nonprofit Urban Housing Solutions, among many other things that he's involved himself in. So I heartily recommend that you consider Richard Warren because he has the expertise and the heart to bring to this committee. And in addition, his reputation in the legal world is one who brings consensus, not one who is antagonistic in any way. And I think he'll be a tremendous asset to this committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Hurt.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I recommended Mr. Dan Lane because I know of him to be fair. He's very knowledgeable, and he is one who wants to see this city grow to a level that will be beneficial to its entire citizenry. He has worked tirelessly in the Nashville community and helped countless people with their businesses and creating opportunity for development and growth. He is also someone who is willing to go to the extent necessary on the side of right. And I know that Nashville needs an advocate that will provide a perspective, that will provide a balance in the consciousness of those making decisions to impact the community at large. We do need inclusion and diversity, and Mr. Lane also has given 34 years to Metro government boards and commissions, including Metro Social Services, Metro Transit Authority, where he served as the board chair, Traffic and Parking Commission, and as well as the Solid Waste Regional Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I nominated 3 individuals, former councilman at large, Jerry Maynard. I also recommended Councilmember Angie Henderson and also Dr. Megan Streams. And when we were discussing the particulars of this committee, these 3 individuals came to mind for me. Councilmember Henderson, one, because of her attention to detail and her critical thinking, I think will be valuable for this process. For past perspective, I thought of Honorable Jerry Maynard from some of his citywide efforts and fights as it relates to many endeavors here in the city. And Dr. Megan Streams, PhD, she's actually none of these are my constituents, so just put that out there too. But I do feel they'd be great in these roles. Dr. Megan Streams, PhD, she is a professor at Tennessee State University. Her background is budgetary and fiscal matters, and I think all of these nominees that I nominated would bring a different perspective and would be able to look at the policy with a different lens. And I think that's what we're striving as it relates to this committee. We don't need individuals on the committee that's coming in with a predetermined outcome. We need I guess at the charge of Councilman Mendez, for lack of better words, for the better brains to come together to help us forge policy in this particular space. Is that all I'm supposed to say, Vice Mayor?
I think you said enough.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right. So, I think everybody should have a piece of paper. There should be 3 slots on the piece of paper. You can fill in, we're looking for 3 names from each of you. I assume you don't have to put 3 names. You can put whatever name you want. but we're looking for, there are 3 slots on your piece of paper. We want you to write legibly so we can actually read it. You need to sign the slips, put your district number, or if you're an at-large, and you need to print the name of the individual that you are nominating.
Print the room name, so we can, if we can't read their signature, we're going to need them to print their name.
Okay, so you're going to have to print your name as well. Print your name and sign it as well. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. It's my understanding that Councilmember Henderson has withdrawn. So I didn't want council members to vote that she's withdrawn.
Okay, so I'm going to go through the list again to make sure we've got it right. I've got Councilmember Gilmore.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Okay. Councilmember Henderson. Okay, your button's pushed. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go through the list again. So Councilmember Rosenberg nominated Dr. Paulette Coleman. Councilmember Allen nominated Councilmember Bob Mendes. Councilmember O'Connell nominated Mr. Larry Papel. Councilmember Pulley nominated Mr. Richard Warren. Councilmember Hurt nominated Mr. Dan Lane. Councilmember Vercher nominated Ms. Megan Streams. So those are the 6 names. Everybody else is off the list. Okay, got it? You can write other people's names on, but they're not a nominee. So those are the 6. So what you need to do is fill in the sheet. If you will raise your hand, one of our staff members will come get it. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Jameson, are we going to actually read the names and double check to make sure we have them right?
Right, so typically the clerk will read back to you the names you wrote, and you'll nod your head or say yes, and then we'll be keeping a tabulation of the number of votes that each one got until we're complete.
Okay, so we're going to pick them up in order. If you'll just hold your hand up, we're going to pick them up in order so we can actually have some type of process to this. So, Madam Clerk, you understand what you're going to do? We're going to get the things, and you're going to pull out. We're going to go through the list, read the 3 names, make sure we've got them correct. Okay, and then we will be telling the numbers, right? Okay.
I got my sheet ready.
And I would say I appreciate all the nominees in the back waiting this long. I'm at fault for part of it. I asked because I felt like I needed to be here for this. Thank you all for being here and waiting this long.
Nancy has a question.
Councilmember Van Rees?
No,
Oh.
Okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to make sure I go through this list one more time. Dr. Paulette Coleman, Councilmember Bob Mendes, Mr. Larry Papel, Mr. Richard Warren, Mr. Dan Lane, Ms. Megan Streams. Those are the 6.
Has your clerk fled in terror yet? Has your clerk fled in terror yet?
So do we have everyone? Okay. So we will be giving points for penmanship. Okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. The clerk is going to read them in order, the council members at large, and then we're going to go district by district. I think the council member will call out the individual council member's name and make sure that that is correct, the three that you've got listed. All right? And council member Mendez, you've abstained from the vote, so council member Mendez will not be voting. And then we have several people up here making sure that we have a correct tally. Any questions before we begin? Again, remember, we're going to call on you just to make sure that it's a confirmation that we had the information correct. Madam Clerk, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, proceed
Councilman
ahead.
at Large John Cooper has voted for Councilman at Large Mendez, Dr. Paulette Coleman, and Mr. Larry Papel.
Great.
Councilwoman at Large Gilmore has voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Mr. Dan Lane.
Okay, correct.
Councilwoman at Large Sharon Hurt has voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Mr. Dan Lane, Mr. Larry Papel.
Correct, council member.
Councilman Hall has voted for Councilmember Mendez, Mr. Dan Lane, and Dr. Paulette Coleman.
Correct.
Councilman Hastings has voted for Mr. Richard Warren, Dr. Paulette Coleman, Mr. Dan Lane.
Correct.
Council Lady Haywood has voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Councilmember Bob Mendez, and Mr. Dan Lane.
Okay.
Councilman Swope has voted for Councilman at Large Bob Mendez, Mr. Larry Papel, and Dr. Paulette Coleman. Councilman Scott Davis has voted for Mr. Dan Lane, Mr. Richard Warren, and Dr. Paulette Coleman. Councilman Withers has voted for Councilman at Large Bob Mendez, Dr. Paulette Coleman, and Dr. Megan Streams. Councilman Anthony Davis has voted for Councilman at Large Bob Mendez, Dr. Paulette Coleman, and Mr. Richard Warren. Council Lady Van Reese has voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Mr. Richard Warren, and Mr. Larry Papel. Councilman Pridemore has voted for, Councilman Hager has voted for Mr. Richard Warren, Dr. Paulette Coleman, and Councilman at Large Bob Mendez. Councilman Glover has voted for Councilman at Large Bob Mendez, Mr. Richard Warren, and Mr. Dan Lane. Council Lady Wazo has voted for Mr. Richard Warren and Dr. Megan Streams. Councilman Roten has voted for Councilman at Large Bob Mendez, Mr. Richard Warren, and Dr. Paulette Coleman. Councilman Syracuse has voted for Mr. Larry Papel, Dr. Paulette Coleman.
Hold on.
And Mr. Richard Warren, Mr. Larry Papel, and Dr. Paulette Coleman.
So, what were the first two you read?
Larry Papel, Richard Warren, and Paulette Coleman.
So Coleman was the third. She didn't read the first time. It's all right. Okay.
Councilman Freeman voted for Councilman at Large Bob Mendez and Mr. Richard Warren. Councilman Sledge voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Councilman Bob Mendez, and Mr. Richard Warren. Councillady Allen voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Councilman Bob Mendez, and Mr. Richard Warren.
What was that? Give me the three again, if you don't mind.
Dr. Coleman,
Okay,
Councilman Mendez, Mr. Warren.
got it, thank you.
Councillady Roberts voted for Councilman at Large Bob Mendez, Mr. Richard Warren, and Mr. Dan Lane. Councillady Weiner voted for Mr. Richard Warren, Councilman Mendez, and Mr. Larry Papel. Councillady Murphy voted for Dr. Coleman, Councilman Mendez, and Mr. Papel. Councilman Pulley voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Councilman Bob Mendez, and Mr. Richard Warren. Councilman Elrod voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Councilman at Large Bob Mendez, and Mr. Richard Warren. Councillady Blaylock voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Councilman Bob Mendez, and Mr. Richard Warren.
Correct? Okay.
Councillady Bircher voted for Mr. Dan Lane, Dr. Megan Streams. Councilman Potts voted for Councilman Bob Mendez, Mr. Dan Lane, and Dr. Paulette Coleman. Councillady Lee voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Mr. Dan Lane, and Councilman Bob Mendez. Councillady Henderson voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Mr. Richard Warren, and Councilman Bob Mendez. Councilman Rosenberg voted for Dr. Paulette Coleman, Mr. Dan Lane, and Mr. Richard Warren.
Did we get all that correct? Anything that was wrong? Okay.
Give us a minute to tabulate. So I've got Coleman and Mendez make the first round.
Right.
I've got 25, 12 for Lane, 21 for Mendez. 8, I'm going to just read mine. 25 for Coleman. Sorry, Coleman was 25, Lane was 12, Mendez 21, Papel 8, Streams 3, and Warren 19. So the rule.
Coleman, but I probably missed one.
Actually, I was reading down this.
You got 21 for Bob.
Right.
Just do the third one on the machine now, right?
That's a good question. Is that, did you keep count?
25, 21, 18, 12, 8, 3. There was a little hiccup with Syracuse.
19 or 18 best. So, all right, so these two make the first round. So they would go to round 2. That's the second round, the third position.
The third position you do on the machine.
We're going to ask Austin that. We're going to ask Austin.
So do we need to announce all the votes?
That's up to you. That's up to you.
Okay, hold just a minute.
Well, I think the main one is.
Sure. So you can just tell them that we're just double checking the numbers and we'll be able to go to the last seat by machine. Okay.
All right, so we are double checking the numbers, and we're also making sure that it looks like we're going to have one last vote, and we can do it by machine. So we're making sure we've got all that corrected.
Two.
So for the viewing audience, in case they're just tuning in, we have just had a vote by paper ballot over nominations and for the TIF Study Committee. There were 6 nominees. People voted for up to 3 candidates, and we are double checking our tabulations to make sure that we have it correct, and then we will announce the results in just a minute. All right, so we have now triple-checked these numbers, and Dr. Paulette Coleman and Councilmember Bob Mendes won in the first round. Dr. Coleman was the majority vote getter, and Councilmember Mendes cleared the 21-vote hurdle. So congratulations to Dr. Coleman and Councilmember Mendes. They will serve on the TIF Study Committee. And then for the remaining 4, I believe we have the ability to put all the names on the board. So at this point, we will open up the machines, and the leading vote getter on this one actually will be the 3rd nominee on the TIF committee. Got it? Any questions about that? Seeing none, are we ready to put the names up? Okay, so you're just voting for 1. Okay, so Madam Clerk, if you will open the board with the 4 names. Yeah, just vote for 1 person. Everybody voted? Okay. Madam Clerk? All right, looks like everybody's on. Take the vote.
10 votes for Mr. Dan Lane, 3 votes for Mr. Larry Papel, 1 vote for Dr. Megan Streams, 16 votes for Mr. Richard Warren.
So Mr. Warren is the 3rd nominee to be selected for the TIF Study Committee. We very much appreciate all the nominees. This is a fairly complicated process. We appreciate everybody being nominated. We appreciate you all being here. And what we typically do is, for the people who did not get a serve on the TIF Study Committee, we sometimes follow up and we find other stimulating committees for you to serve on. So thank you all very much. Will you all join me in thanking both the 3 and everyone else who submitted this? And it's my understanding that the TIF Study Committee will be meeting at 12 o'clock midnight tonight. So, okay, so I believe that took care of everything before bills on first reading. So hang with me. We are going to start moving through the calendar.
Bob needs to abstain on a bill on first reading.
Okay, so we are on bills on first reading. If there's no objection, we'll consider all ordinances on first reading in one vote at this time. Councilmember Mendez.
I need to be marked as abstaining on 1383.
Okay, so Mr. Mendez wants to be listed as abstaining on BL 2018-1383. Do we just need to pull that one? Or can we just do it? Okay. All right, so we've got the objection on that. That'll be noted for the record. Again, no objection. We'll consider all ordinances on first reading in one vote at this time. All those in favor, do I have a motion first? Got a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We've just approved everything on introduction and first reading. Okay, we are now on bills on second reading. First bill up on the calendar is BL 2017-897 by Councilmember Scott Davis. This changes 0.34 acres from RS5 to R6A zoning for property located at 1000 West McKinney Avenue. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to deferral and put it on for the December public hearing.
All right, so there's a motion to defer to the November public meeting, properly seconded. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2018-1188 by Councilmembers Cooper and Vercher. This amends the Metro Code by inserting a new subsection in Chapter 2.24 to establish procedures for high-value real property transactions. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee report.
All right, Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended an indefinite deferral, 12-4-0 against.
Okay, Councilmember Cooper.
I would like to recommend the same.
Okay, there's a motion to defer this matter indefinitely. Properly seconded. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2018-1281. This bill has been amended. This is by Councilmembers Murphy, Henderson, and Elrod. Amends the Metro Code to codify sexual harassment awareness and training requirement for employees and certain contractors. Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to move for, did we get committee reports last time?
You've got, it's been approved by personnel, but it's been referred to the Budget Committee, so you need to ask for that report.
Budget Committee report, please.
Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 12-4-0 against.
Okay, back to Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. I'd like to move for approval with a brief comment.
All right, so again, the bill is amended. There's a motion to approve as amended. Okay, properly seconded. Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you. Currently, the Metro government recognizes the need and requires sexual harassment prevention training of all of our Metro employees. We, as council members, acknowledge the need and now require this same prevention training of ourselves and other elected officials. The next logical step in combating sexual harassment is to require Metro contractors and their employees who are embedded in the Metro government as described in the legislation and come in contact with the public and our employees on behalf of Metro is to require those contractors and their employees to also have sexual harassment prevention training. Yesterday in the Budget Committee, there were some assertions and assumptions that this legislation will result in additional costs for Metro or raise the cost of contracts. I have worked with Metro HR and have met with the Nashville Chamber about this legislation. Working closely with Metro HR, we have minimized the costs to eliminate any extraordinary costs associated with this legislation for Metro. If there are any unintended costs here, I am more than willing to accept those supposed costs to protect the men and women that work for Metro and the members of the public. I want to be clear that the cost of not implementing this legislation to require contractors to provide sexual harassment training to their employees is much higher than any cost that we can quantify or imagine. I want to ask all of you to join me in supporting this legislation for the general welfare of Metro government. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Van Rees.
Thank you very much. I wanted to make a statement on behalf of any LGBT employees. I wanted to remind you that ever since the Supreme Court ruled unanimously on same-sex harassment and on-call versus Sundowner in 1998, under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, all workers are protected. Writing for the court, Justice Scalia held that the standard for recovery in a same-sex case is the same in any other sexual harassment cases. Metro's HR training includes this in their training, and it would be appropriate to assume that this would be in parity and also be included as the Supreme Court suggests. This requires no amendment to this important bill that I support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments? Seeing none, we are on BL 2018-1221 as amended. This is on second reading. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1294 by Councilmember Henderson. This amends the Metro Code regarding excessive noise. Councilmember Henderson. I believe that's Councilmember O'Connell's bill.
It is,
So for some reason, it's showing you on here. So hold on just a second. Is there another sponsor on this one?
I don't believe there is. Rule 20.
Perhaps in his absence, I have.
You get the pleasure of handling this bill if you would like. So again, it amends the Metro Code regarding excessive noise. The note that I've got is that I think the council member wants to defer this bill indefinitely. Correct. Okay. So if you want to.
I would move to defer the bill indefinitely.
All right, let's get committee reports first. The Codes Committee, Councilmember Swope.
Thank you, Your Honor. Codes, Fairs, Farmers Market voted 5 against, 0 for on the proposed amendment, and per a letter by the sponsor, voted to defer indefinitely, 5 for, 0 against.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Freeman, Public Safety.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Safety looked at the bill and per request of the sponsor, defer indefinitely 6-0. 6 in favor, 0 against. Do we need to talk about the amendment that we?
Did y'all take up the amendment in the discussion?
We did, and then promptly defeated it.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Henderson.
With those committee reports in, I would move to defer the bill indefinitely, please.
Okay. Properly seconded. Any other discussion on this? Councilmember Glover.
Just a quick point of order. I was told it was going to be deferred. Is the amendment, was that my amendment that got defeated?
What was your amendment?
Okay, well, at the risk of sounding rude, I was told this bill was being deferred indefinitely tonight. So I had a letter that was supposed to be written, and we didn't do it today, asking for approval. So I'm just trying to figure out how the amendment moved when I wasn't here, nor any letter, and the sponsor has asked for an indefinite deferral.
So if you're asking, did the Codes Committee take up the amendment and how it moved?
Apparently they did.
So Councilmember Swope, do you have any idea?
Yeah, we did, and we probably did that out of order.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Okay.
But the bill was being deferred indefinitely anyway, so it didn't really matter. But we did have a discussion about the amendment and wondered why there was different decibel levels between downtown and Jolton when there really shouldn't be. And I don't know whether we would want to enter this conversation on the floor right now because it's kind of a moot point at the moment.
Yeah, Councilmember Glover, the bill's going to, looks like there's the motion to defer this thing indefinitely.
Well, I guess my question would be, because no letter went in from me on the amendment, I would ask, I mean, if in fact it was taken out of order, can it be brought back up? Or I mean, because now, I mean, it's looked, so that's my real question.
Mr. Jamison.
it can be brought back up when the bill returns.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion? We have a motion to defer this bill indefinitely. Seeing nobody else in the queue, everyone in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We are on BL 2018-1329 by Councilmember Withers. This amends the Metro Code regarding residential permit parking. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Could I get committee reports, please?
Yeah, Councilmember Hager.
Traffic and parking approved BL 2018-1329. 4 in favor, 0 against.
All right, Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval with a brief comment.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. It's been properly seconded. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you to all the members of the body. First, I want to extend an apology. We have a member of the public who had written into us and I think also wanted to attend the Traffic and Parking Commission hearing. The Traffic and Parking Commission hearing last week changed location from the Sunny West Conference Center to Lentz Public Health with such little notice that I myself went to the wrong location, and I think a member of the public wanted to go to that, and we're not all certain how that change happened so late, but on behalf of Metro government, I want to apologize to the member of the public for that. It sort of got a little bit even worse from there. I did have another community member who was able to make the hearing, and for whatever reason, the chair of the commission closed the meeting without actually hearing from the public on that. So with all of that, I just want to apologize to the public. We have received a couple of letters from constituents, including one member of the public who's here. Just wanted to provide a little bit of background for the members who may not have been able to attend the committee meeting. Some of the codes with regard to parking are a bit dated, and of course, we as a city are looking at bringing in an outside consultant to update a lot of our parking requirements. Generally, it's not yet totally determined whether or not that will include residential permit parking, which does exist in maybe about 24 small spots, usually throughout the county. What this bill does two main things. One is that at the suggestion of constituents, I had a community meeting, and constituents in the Edgefield neighborhood actually looked at what cities do, other peer cities do, and one of the suggestions that some neighbors had is to revise the guest permit system. Currently, if you're in a residential permit parking area and you want to have a guest over, you actually have to contact Public Works and get a one-time use permit, which costs about $5, which isn't necessarily huge, but it is a lot of cumbersome effort on the part of both the homeowner as well as on Public Works. And so one of the suggestions was to have, since you're purchasing an annual permit for your own vehicles, tied to that you would also be able to purchase a guest pass, or the suggestion was two, for your household or residence, so that then when your guests come over, that you hand that pass to them, they park in the street, and then it gives it back to you. So that's a much more streamlined process, both for the homeowners and especially for the very limited staff that we have to do all that enforcement. That would streamline a lot of that. If for whatever reason you were having a large number of guests over, larger than 2, you could still have that option of going to purchase additional one-time use passes. But that is a much more streamlined approach, which is offered with the effort of streamlining matters both for the homeowners in those districts or residents. You could rent an apartment and still apply for one. But both for the residents in residential permit parking zones as well as for our very hardworking public works staff. The other thing that it does primarily is that it puts, I believe it's a little bit out of order. Currently, if you are a council member, you are asked to write a letter of recommendation without actually having a staff analysis. And I feel like that is a poor process, and it's ultimately a political process at some point. If you have very, very organized neighbors who are able to persuade a council member to do that, then they might have more access to that service offering than other neighbors would. So what this does is it asks, similar to if you had a stop sign or another community traffic calming request, that the council member would hear from the community, would request that the staff do an analysis, and then after that you would have a community meeting at which that public works traffic engineer staff analysis information is available. You could then go on and have further discussion, but at least everyone would be informed based on what the objective criteria that the staff present are Just as with a stop sign, there could be reasons why the community feels that it's still needed, even if it weren't necessarily recommended by staff. But I feel like that's a much more informed decision for the neighbors to have, as well as to present to the Traffic and Parking Commission, than the current system where you write a letter and then people have to argue it out in front of the commission.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and I appreciate the council sponsors' work on this bill. I had a question based on the analysis regarding a publicly noticed community meeting that would be required for this. I wanted to ask what that entails, what department notices, how is the notice distributed and funded? So.
Who wants to handle that? Councilmember Withers.
That's a great question. I really appreciate you bringing up. That is really is a suggestion from my standpoint. In some of our districts, sometimes not everyone is of one mind. And also not everyone's able to make a community meeting or a neighborhood meeting necessarily. So that's a suggestion on my part. I haven't defined that. If council members have specific input into that, that would be something that I could potentially work with folks onto the council office. Because this bill is not amendable on third, we would need, in that case, if there are specific recommendations, to have a request a suspension of the rules for a late file. I guess kind of what I'm envisioning is that at a minimum that there be a community meeting with signs. I don't know that notices necessarily needs to be mailed to a buffer zone area, because one of the ironies about residential permit parking is that it is sort of petitioned by residents and not property owners. So I don't actually know that Metro government is currently equipped, based on my one-time experiment, to have a notice, but I do feel like having at least signage, perhaps from the department, would let residents as well as larger community members know that that item is being discussed and where and when. That's my suggestion, but if others have other suggestions, I'd be happy to entertain those too.
Councilmember Sledge.
I appreciate that. And I would be happy to give suggestions as well. The only thing I worry about is just the shall language that's in the bill, that if that goes through, that there will be not only an expectation but a requirement of that publicly noticed community meeting, signs, cards, however it might be. I just want to make sure it's clear who's responsible for that. Is it the neighbors who are requesting the permit parking? Is it responsibility of the council member? Because even though it's small, there's a fiscal cost to that as well as a time cost. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember. No one else in the queue? You've got a proper motion. Councilman Withers, back to you.
If I could just there are a couple of instances such as that where people have questions about a specific word, and most of those, I believe, would be housekeeping amendments. So again, in the interest of time for the Public Works Department, because this does propose a new guest pass system that would take effect in January, and because the department would have to find a way to implement that as well as communicate that to all the districts, I am going to ask to go ahead and move this forward on second tonight. But if council members do have a question about a word or a suggestion like that, please forward those to Mr. Jameson, and we can take a look at those. And then we could certainly consider amendments on third. It would need to be we'd have to suspend the rules to do that, but I'm open to those tweaks. But it's my anticipation that those tweaks would all be housekeeping amendments.
All right, so we have a motion to move this on and approve this on second reading. It's been properly seconded. No one else in the queue. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right. BL 2018-1334 by Councilmember Henderson amends the Metro Code to impose the full privilege tax allowed under state law upon the sale of tickets to events at the new Major League Soccer Stadium to eliminate general fund subsidy for debt service and to better support future maintenance. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
All right. Councilmember Vercher, budget.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. At the request of the sponsor, Budget and Finance recommended a one-meeting deferral, 12-4-0 against.
All right. Councilmember Swope, codes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Codes Fairs Farmers Market deferred by rule 5-4-0 against, and that wasn't because, it was only because the committee schedules were so screwed up tonight and the sponsor couldn't be there. Had she been, we would have voted to defer for one meeting.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hurt, Convention and Tourism.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Conventions, Tourism, and Public Entertainment Facilities Committee voted to defer one meeting as requested by the sponsor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would vote to defer move deferral one meeting with a brief explanation, please.
Okay, there's a motion to defer, properly seconded. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you. Colleagues, I just want to share my motivation in filing this bill. The state allows for stadiums of this size up to a 10% privilege tax on tickets. I've seen some comment in the public sphere that this is kind of an antagonistic bill in opposition to soccer, and I just want to state on the record that is not the case at all. I'm filing this bill for purposes of discussion and hopefully passage so that we have a real kind of transparency and clarity on this ticket tax. If the state allows 10%, I simply think we should begin as we intend to go and set that 10% floor. We're not obviously privy to the ticket discussion, but the administration has shared with us that there might be a gap in the starting years, and as structured, it is a little opaque and complicated with 175, 225, and 325. And I'm just saying, let's keep it simple and move forward with that 10%. But I look forward to additional discussion with the administration. And with that, I renew my motion to defer one meeting.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. We have a motion to defer one meeting. It's been properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. This bill is deferred one meeting. All right. We are now on BL 2018-1335 by Council Members Vercher and Freeman. Approves an agreement between the Metro Police Department and Airborne Public Safety Association for accreditation of Metro Nashville Police Department's aviation unit. Council Member Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 12-4-0 against. On a need committee report.
All right. Council Member Freeman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Safety looked at this, and we approved voted 6 in favor, 0 against.
Okay, back to Council Member Vercher.
Move for approval.
Move for approval, properly seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1336 by Council Members Haywood, Vercher, and others. This approves amendments to an intergovernmental license agreement between Metro government and the state of Tennessee and an easement agreement between Metro government and William G. Hitt, trustee for the William G. Hitt GST exempt trust, both pertaining to the Whites Creek Greenway. Councilmember Haywood.
Committee reports, please.
All right, it's been referred to Budget and Finance. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 12-4-0 against.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Syracuse. Parks.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Parks, Library, and Arts passed 6-4-0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Murphy for Planning Zoning.
Planning voted to approve, 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Haywood.
I move for approval.
Move for approval, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. You approve. All right. BL 2018-1337 by Councilmember Withers, Syracuse, and Bedney. This approves an amendment to an option agreement between Metro government and the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Foundation, Inc. for a conservation easement for property located at 2009 Sevier Street. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Could I get committee reports, please?
All right. Parks, Councilmember Syracuse.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Library, Parks, and Arts passed 7-4-0 against.
All right. Councilmember Murphy for Planning and Zoning.
Planning Committee voted 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move approval with a brief comment.
All right. Properly moved, and I got a proper second. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. A couple of years ago now, we were excited to announce a grant that would do a stream mitigation in the Lachlan Spring Stream in the Shelby Golf Course. It was subsequently determined that we needed to do some other infrastructure work on Metro's end in order to make that feasible. What this does is it extends the term of that conservation easement so that hopefully in a couple of years maybe
we can finish those out and still take advantage of that grant opportunity to restore that stream to a more natural state. And with that, I renew my motion to approve.
All right, thank you, Council Member. We are on BL 2018-1337. Any other discussion? Oh, point of order, Council Member.
We were right on the verge. We may now with Council Lady Lee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So the question has been called of whether we have a quorum. We're double checking.
25, 26. We do not have a quorum. Suspend until.
I'm trying to count. I think we do. Councilmember Withers, hold just a second. I think we do have a quorum. I think we've got 27. I'll wait for Mr. Jameson to come back. Mr. Jameson, who is our director of our council, may have left, and he may just not be coming back. And now we have an extra. Okay. All right, so we are on BL 2018-1337. It's been properly moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, thank you. BL 2018-1338 by Council Members Henderson, Vercher, and others. This authorizes the acquisition of right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights for use in public projects for purposes of the Old Harding Pike sidewalk improvement. Council Member Henderson.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Council Member Vercher, budget.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended approval, 12-4, 0 against.
All right, Council Member Murphy, Planning.
Planning approved, 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, and back to Public Works, Council Member Henderson.
Public Works recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against.
All right.
And with all those committee reports in, I would move approval.
Okay, proper motion. I got a proper seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1339 by Council Members Weiner, Bedney, and O'Connell. This abandons existing water mains, sanitary sewer mains, one sanitary sewer manhole, and associated easements for various properties located on Charlotte Pike and Rodney Drive. Councilmember Weiner.
Committee reports, please.
All right. I've got Councilmember Murphy, if she's recovered.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
All right.
Planning approved, 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Henderson for Public Works.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Works recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against.
Councilmember Weiner.
Move approval, please.
Move approval, proper second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1340 by Council Members Kendall, Bedney, and O'Connell. This abandons an existing combined sewer main and accepts new sewer mains and sewer manholes for property located at 109 29th Avenue North. I've got Kendall, Bedney, and O'Connell who are out.
Rule 29 requires one of them. I've moved it to the heel till they have the sponsors.
All right, so we're going to move this one to the heel. Oh, Councilmember Haywood, have you got this one? Yes. All right, Councilmember Haywood.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. At this time, I call for the committee reports.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Murphy for Planning.
Planning voted 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Henderson.
Public Works Committee recommended approval, 7 in favor, 0 against.
And back to Councilmember Haywood.
Thank you, and I move for approval.
Okay, got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1341 by Council Members Murphy and Bedney. This abandons and removes an existing sewer main and sewer manholes for properties located at Demumbrium Street and 1219 McGavick Street. Council Member Murphy.
Committee report.
All right, I've got Planning, which is yours, and Public Works, which is Council Member Henderson.
Are we sure this is the one I signed on to?
BL 1341.
This one I have down both on Mike's and on mine as being deferred by rule. I did sign on to an aerial encroachment, and I think that has been confused with this one.
Okay. Move this to the heel. Can you see?
29 requires the sponsor's presence. You could move it to the heel to see if we can get somebody to sign on in the meantime.
Okay, so Councilmember Murphy, I'm sorry. We are going to move this one to the hill as well. Okay. Well, this is the only one because we had a sponsor on the other one. So we're going to move this one to the hill and figure out what we've got on this one. Without objection, this one goes to the hill. So we are now on BL 2018-1342 by Councilmember Sledge, Bedney, and others. This abandons portions of alley number 1805 right-of-way. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
All right. Councilmember Murphy for planning.
Planning voted 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Councilmember Henderson for Public Works.
Public Works recommended approval, 6 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Thank you. And Councilmember Hager for traffic and parking.
BL 2018-1342, 4 0 against.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move approval.
Okay. Motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1343 by Councilmember Allen, Bedney, and others. This abandons portions of Bernard Avenue, alley number 439, and alley number 951 right-of-way. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
All right. Councilmember Murphy for planning.
Planning approved, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Henderson for Public Works.
Public Works recommended approval, 6 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Councilmember Hager for traffic and parking.
Traffic and parking on BL 2018-1343, 4 0 against.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Move for approval.
Okay. Proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay, we are on BL 2018-1344 by Council Members Van Rees, Bedney, and O'Connell. This changes the name of Douglas Street and an unnamed right-of-way to Madison Station Boulevard. Councilmember Van Rees.
Committee reports, please.
All right, I have got Councilmember Murphy for planning.
Planning approved, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember Henderson for Public Works.
Public Works recommended approval, 6 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember Hager for traffic and parking.
BL 2018-1344, passed 4 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Back to Councilmember Van Rees.
I'm just trying to keep the sign shop happy. With that, I move approval, please.
Thank you, Councilmember. It has been proper motion, proper second. We're going to need new maps up in Madison. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you. Okay, we are now on bills on third reading. The first bill up, BL 2017-682 by Council Members Withers and Scott Davis. This changes 5.32 acres from MUGA, R6, and RS5 to SPMU zoning for properties located at 1101 and 1108 Gallatin Avenue, 1105, 1107, 1109, and 1111 Sharp Avenue, and Sharp Avenue unnumbered, 1048 and 1050 West Greenwood Avenue, and 1110 Greenwood Avenue to permit a mixed-use development. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Could I get committee reports, please?
All right. Councilmember Murphy for planning.
Planning approved the bill as amended, 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Withers, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I do need to move, I believe, I do have a late filed amendment, which is actually a final site plan, and I'd like to request a suspension of the rules to apply that.
Okay. So we have a late filed amendment. Any objection to the late filed amendment? So you're moving for suspension of the rules to get it in here. Anybody have any objections? Seeing none, we're on your amendment.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. And my council colleague, Scott Davis, District 5, this project has been very, very long awaited. It bridges Districts 5 and District 6, will create lots of new pedestrian enhancements, including new sidewalks, a new MTA bus shelter, a new traffic signal, which will include a signalized crosswalk across Gallatin. So there are lots and lots of public infrastructure improvements that are being funded through private development. In addition to that, it will bring a grocery store, which has not yet been named, but everyone will be looking forward to that. Just grateful to HG Hill Realty for being such a great community partner, and especially appreciate them working with the architect firms, Ms. G Studio, to get us this final site plan applied to this bill so that neighbors can find that very easily if they look it up in the future. I know that was a concern for some since there have been some tweaks. One of the most major tweaks is that the residential, just for the viewing public, but the residential component went from about a total of 80 multifamily apartment units to a total of about 14 for-sale townhouse units is the most major change, but otherwise that final site plan will now be available if folks want to look it up online. So with that, I renew my motion to approve.
Okay, so you need a motion on the amendment. Let's get that first.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the amendment has been moved, properly seconded. Any questions on the amendment? Councilmember Davis? Okay, so we're on the amendment. Again, properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Now you're on your bill as amended, so you have a motion to move the bill as amended. Okay, properly seconded. Councilmember Davis.
I just want to thank my colleague for his hard work and having community meetings. Sometimes me and Mr. Withers, even though we're friends, great guy, it just shows people that even when people come from two different perspectives sometimes, can come together and work hard to get something done. I'm very proud of you, sir, and I want to wish you always the best, and let's move for approval.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on this? Okay, this is on third reading. It's a motion to approve with the amendment. No further discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. This is BL 2018-1183 by Councilmembers Freeman and Vercher. It was disapproved by the Planning Commission 6-0. Amends the Metro Code to add conditions to the uses of automobile repair and automobile sales, use sales. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Do we, just for clarification, do we want to start with the presentation, or do we want to get that at the end?
Why don't we get the committee report in first, and then you can do the presentation.
Thank you so much. Committee report, please.
All right. Councilmember Murphy, Planning.
Planning enthusiastically approved, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember Murphy, for that enthusiastic report. Councilmember Freeman.
All right, thank you. We've just got just a few slides. What we had was I got Mr. Jamison to get with the planning, and what these slides will show you, there's a heat map, if you will, of the different pikes along in the city. And when we get to the Nolensville Road one, I'm not certain, but you'll see it has the most dense use of used tire shops, used auto sales, and repair shops. I mean, it's so bad that we even have shirts that say, no row, come for the tires, stay for the tacos. So, and it's that prolific, and that's where this bill comes from. And I appreciate you sticking with me. I'll be real quick. I know this is a disapproved bill, and so I appreciate you, listening to me and hearing me out. I spent about an hour today talking to Mr. Bill Herbert to get his take on why, the planning was so adamantly against it and why ultimately they voted it down. And it was mostly for enforcement. When they're issuing the permitters, our people that are issuing the permits, they're not going to have on their screen when they enter an address that says, oh, you've triggered this ordinance, because our system is not set up that way. So what they're going to require is that they'll have to sign an affidavit when they apply for the permit saying that they do not, or that they will apply by this ordinance. The permit will be issued. If it is found that they are not operating, if they've filed errors on that permit, then at that time, planning can enforce it by a stop work order. And that'll come from, your neighbors, your council members. If you're kind of passionate, say, whoa, that's a new tire shop. What's going on there? This does not kill existing uses, and existing uses can stay even if they sell. If, Vice Mayor Schulman's in the used tire shop, he sells to Mr. Jameson. Mr. Jameson can operate another one, but Mr. Jameson cannot open up one in a McDonald's down the street. It has to be already existing. So with that, I would just appreciate your support, and I'll take any discussion at this time.
All right.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Council Member. I've got a motion to approve, properly seconded. We have people in the queue. Councilmember Sledge.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. First of all, I'd like to speak with Councilman Freeman later about where I can get one of those shirts. Second, if there's any way to freeze on Nolensville, that would be helpful. Because I had a question for planning. I guess not. A question for planning is, what do all these colors mean? Like, I can't really tell what they mean. Are those just council districts? Is that what those are?
Planning?
I honestly haven't seen the map until now, so maybe Councilman Freeman can describe what those are.
Councilmember Freeman?
I didn't wear my contact today, so I'm kind of going on one eye. So I don't know what the colors are, but the dots are on the actual. Oh, hey.
Oh, somebody just zoomed in on it too. That was even better.
I don't need your judgment. Oh, yeah, so those are council districts, and all the dots represent active used tire sales.
I just want to point out in District 16, they prefer to use paper instead of screens. For that purpose, I actually want to commend Councilman Freeman for bringing this bill, because as a member who has the end, basically, of Nolensville Pike, the northern end in the district that I represent, even though it's a much smaller portion, we've seen a pretty heavy concentration historically of one use. And I'm not sure that benefits a community, no matter what that use is, quite honestly. We've been talking about the importance of our corridors, and as you can see, this is something that even if it's to a lesser extent, has affected some of our other corridors in the city. We've been talking about within Nashville Next about our growth patterns being concentrated on our corridors. And quite honestly, when we concentrate and basically encourage similar uses to occur on a particular corridor, it does not fit with the planning processes that people of Nashville and our constituents have told us that they want to see. And I could speak from the District 17 side. We have seen a couple of these uses actually go away. They have changed from industrial, which have been primarily car use, into mixed use. And there's kind of an immediate sigh of relief from residents to say, okay, we can still go to 8 or 9 different services, whether we need to buy a car, whether we need to have a car serviced or sell a car. But we also know that now we're getting things like remediation of Browns Creek through green space and buffers, and I'll actually have one of those zoning bills up in next meeting. So I want to point out to colleagues, this is a disapproved bill, so it takes a very high threshold, as you know, and I would ask colleagues to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Leftover from the previous.
Leftover. All right. Thank you. Councilmember Elrod.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. As the councilman for the district south of 16, I would also ask for your approval. There's a lot of great things going on in Nolensville Road, but With these concentrated uses of used tire shops and auto repair shops, some of those things can't happen. We've seen a lot of growth in the area, economic, population-wise. We need a new elementary school, which shows that density is increasing. To encourage investment, we need to make sure that, and the right kind of investment, I think this is a good planning tool for something like that, particularly with the soccer stadium that will be going on or being built and that development at the northern part of Nolensville Road. I think this will encourage the right kind of development for the people that live there along Nolensville Road, and particularly for new Americans that live there, and give them opportunities for more variety of places to shop. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to encourage colleagues to support this legislation. This is a great piece of legislation. I believe South and Southeast, we see the proliferation of these type uses on our corridors, and it makes it really challenging for us to recruit various businesses to our respective districts. Blight comes in many forms, and this legislation can put us on a path to make sure that we don't have these concentrated uses on our corridors, and it can be a spur for diversification in businesses. So I encourage my colleagues to support this.
All right, thank you, Council Member. Council Member Freeman, any other comments?
Just thank you for your time and your patience, and just move approval.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second to approve this. This is a disapproved bill, so we are on the board. It requires 27 positive votes. We are ready to vote. Madam Clerk, if you will open the machines. All right, looks like everybody's voted. Madam Clerk, close the machine and tally the votes.
29 in favor and 1 against.
All right, the bill passes. All right, we are now on Substitute Bill 2018-1314 by Councilmember Cooper. This amends requirements for the Blue Ribbon Commission consistent with the annual operating budget for the fiscal year 2019. Councilmember Cooper, and I will say that it looks like there's a proposed amendment. This bill is amendable on third reading. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
All right. Budget and Finance, Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Budget and Finance recommended approval as amended, 12-4, against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you. I would move approval as amended. There was a technical amendment with a brief explanation.
Has he got an amendment on here already? No, he needs to move the Okay, so Councilmember Cooper, if you will move the bill first.
Move the bill first, then I'd like to move the bill.
Move the bill, it's move the substitute. That's what we're on. So we're going to move the substitute, got a proper second on that. And now, if you will, so the bill's properly in front of us, if you will then take up this proposed amendment.
I'd like to move the amendment. I want to thank Mr. Jamison and his office for writing this technical correction for the bill.
All right, so we have a technical correction. You moved the amendment, properly seconded. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. You adopt. So the amendment is now on the substitute. So now you're back on the bill as substituted.
And I would like to move the substitute.
Okay, so you've got the substitute with the amendment on. Any further discussion?
No, I just do want to say, I think we all feel this, how inspired we are by these amazing people willing to serve on the TIF committee and then also on the Blue Ribbon Committee. Former State Finance Commissioner Dave Getz was confirmed by us tonight, and I think his addition to the Blue Ribbon Committee, as submitted by the Mayor's office, is outstanding, and I really predict that they'll be up to great things.
All right. Thank you, Council Member. So we are on Substitute Bill 2018-1314. It has been also amended. We're on a substitute as amended. This is on third reading. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, council member. We're on substitute bill 2018-1316 by council member Dow. Amends the Metro Code pertaining to special screening requirements for dumpsters and other trash receptacles.
Do we have another sponsor?
So we also don't, council member Dow is not here. Council member Murphy.
That's appropriate.
I'm happy to sign on to this one. We had a letter to defer at one meeting,
All right, so we need to move this to
but
the
our
Hill to get
notes
her to
do
sign on.
say defer by rule. So I'll let Mr. Jameson decide.
Okay, so apparently we can go ahead and make the motion to defer if you want to make that motion on her behalf.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to defer at one meeting, please.
All right. Okay, so let me make sure that, so the committee actually reviewed this. You got a committee report on this?
Yes, my committee report is to defer one meeting, please.
Okay, defer one meeting, and the motion is to defer one meeting. It was properly seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of a one meeting deferral signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, BL 2018-1317 by Councilmember Anthony Davis. Amends the Metro Code pertaining to neighborhood landmark districts. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I believe I have a committee report from Planning.
All right, Councilmember Murphy, Planning and Zoning.
I voted to approve, 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. I will move for approval.
Okay, so there's been a motion to approve BL 2018-1317, properly seconded. Any other discussion on this? Seeing none, this is on third reading. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1318 by Councilmember Scott Davis. This changes 1.17 acres from R6A to SP zoning for properties located at 315, 317A, 317C, 317E Prince Avenue, 318B, 320, 322, and 324 Duke Street to permit up to 12 single-family residential units. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Hey, thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to defer by rule, please.
All right, so let's just get the committee report first. Councilmember Murphy.
Planning deferred by rule.
Okay, deferred by rule. Councilmember Scott Davis, we're deferring this by rule.
Yes, due to unforeseen circumstances, was not here. All the rules deferred by rule.
Okay, it is deferred by rule. All right, one meeting deferral. All right, we are now on substitute bill 2018-1322, council members Kendall and Haywood. This changes 6.10 acres from CS to MUGA and MULA zoning, and from RS5 to MULA zoning for properties located at 2501, 2521 Clarksville Pike, 2122 26th Avenue North. Councilmember Haywood.
I would like to call for committee reports.
All right, Councilmember Murphy, Planning and Zoning.
Planning voted to approve, 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, Councilmember Haywood.
Call for approval.
All right, so I got a motion to approve. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1323 by council members Hastings and Haywood. This amends 0.26 acres of an SP zoning for property located at 1221 Brick Church Pike to permit all uses permitted by the MULA zoning district and an animal boarding facility and security residence. Councilmember Hastings.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee reports, please.
All right, Councilmember Murphy, Planning and Zoning.
9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, back to you, Councilmember Hastings.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Would like to move for approval.
Okay, got a proper motion, proper seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1324 by Councilmember Scott Davis. This changes 0.55 acres from MUNA to CN zoning for properties located at 722 and 726 McFerrin Avenue. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Like committee report, please.
Councilmember Murphy.
Planning deferred by rule.
Deferred by rule. Councilmember Scott Davis.
I defer by rule, please.
Deferred by rule. Okay, thank you. So this is deferred one meeting by rule. BL 2018-1325 by council members Kendall and Haywood. This changes 0.69 acres from SPR to RM20A zoning for various properties located on Delaware Avenue and 31st Avenue North. Councilmember Haywood.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. At this time, I'd like to call for committee reports.
Councilmember Murphy for Planning and Zoning.
Planning approved, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Back to you, Councilmember Haywood.
And I'd like to move for approval.
Move for approval, properly seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2018-1326 by Councilmember Gilmore. This changes 4.15 acres from CS to SV zoning for properties located at 1601 57th Avenue North and 5700 California Avenue to permit 80 multifamily residential units. Councilmember Gilmore. Going to get her. And there is Councilmember Gilmore. Councilmember Gilmore, we're on 2018-1326. This changes the 4.15 acres from CS to SV zoning for properties on 57th Avenue North and 5700 California Avenue. And we need a committee report from Councilmember Murphy for Planning and Zoning. Okay. Councilmember
Planning
Murphy.
voted to defer by rule, 9 in favor, 0 against.
Deferred by rule. Councilmember Gilmore.
We'll have to defer it by rule, don't I? Unless I can.
Defer, yeah, you have to defer by rule. All right.
Yeah. I guess I
Deferred,
missed
it's
that
deferred
one.
by rule.
I accepted, Vice Mayor. I just accepted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, Councilmember Roberts. Okay, so Councilmember Roberts would like to be excused from a deferred by rule. Okay, got it. She's abstaining from that. All right. We are on BL 2018-1327 by Councilmember Scott Davis. This changes 0.2 acres from RS5 to R6A zoning for property located at 310 Arrington Street. Councilmember Scott Davis.
Thank you. Committee reports, please.
All right. Councilmember Murphy.
Planning deferred this by rule, 9 in favor,
Deferred by
0 against.
rule. Councilmember Scott Davis.
I'd like to defer to the next meeting, please.
Deferred by rule to one meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. Bill 2018-1330 by Councilmembers Bedney and Elrod. This authorizes Liberty Green Sobro LLC to install, construct, and maintain aerial and underground encroachments in the right-of-way located at 207 First Avenue South. Councilmember Elrod.
Committee reports, please.
I think they're all in.
Move approval.
I got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1331 by Kendall, Bedney, and Elrod. This abandons portion of 45th Avenue North right-of-way. Councilmember Elrod.
Move approval.
Move approval. All committee reports are in, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1332, Roberts, Bedney, and Elrod. This abandons an existing easement rights located between Alley 1209 and Louisiana Avenue. Councilmember Roberts.
I'd like to move for approval, please.
Okay, all committee reports are in. I got a proper motion, proper seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2018-1333 by Councilmember Van Rees, Bedney, and Elrod. This changes the name of Old Due West Avenue. It's another sign thing. To Skyline Ridge Drive. Councilmember Van Rees. There you are.
I just wanted to point out that the Preds did make 4 goals, and so your free Frosty is available for another 2 hours.
All right, that's good. Thank you.
And with all committee reports in, I move approval.
Yeah. So I've got a motion to approve with the Frosty recommendation, properly seconded. Any discussion on this? Hold on, we got one more coming up. We've got a motion and a second on BL 2018-1333. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Okay, we are back on, this is
1341.
BL 2018-1341.
Murphy is signed on.
Go back and see if I can find it. This is the one that Councilmember Murphy, did Councilmember Murphy signed on to it?
Yes.
Okay, let me find it. Thank you.
You did.
You did. So this is BL 2018-1341 by Council Members O'Connell, Bedney, and now Murphy. This is an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon and remove an existing sewer main and sewer manholes for properties located at Demumbrium Street and 1219 McGavick Street. This would be on page 9 of your calendar. It is actually on a bill on second reading. Council Member Murphy.
Committee report is 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, and I've got a Public Works Committee report from Councilmember Henderson.
Public Works recommended approval, 6 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Murphy, back to you.
Move for approval.
Move for approval, properly seconded. Any discussion on this sewer main? We're getting close. Okay, I see nobody on the queue. All in favor of this on second reading, say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Vercher, for what purpose?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just a point of privilege. Due to the committee times today, I wasn't able to make announcements. So I want to announce my community cleanup October 27th at Food Lion, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The free shredded truck will be available. So just want to take this opportunity to remind District 28 in Southeast Davidson.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Vercher. I will thank you all. I know this was a long meeting. Appreciate it. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Got a motion to adjourn, probably second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.